Zadera, and this is Obi, and we are back with you on how to trade. We're going to wait for some people to kind of roll into the chat here. We already have Darwin and Bears versus Bulls. Thank you, Bears versus Bulls. Hello, Darwin. Hi, everybody. We're going to wait for everyone to circulate and come into the chat, but it's been a heck of a day in the market so far. Definitely lots to talk about. Vin, hi, Vin. Very excited to see, of course, what everybody's talking about in the chat, what everyone's trading. Hi, Andrew Chow. Hi, Bob Dub. Andrew Chow saying hi, Dara. Hi to you. Darwin back in here again as well. Ronaldo, everybody's kind of circulating, still populating the chat, as Sharif would say. Hope he's having fun in his safari. Sebastian, Mateus, Trader Revolution, Ciro, Chiron, Piper, the Piper, Dawn, ALX, Ponzi, Fonzie, Sebastian, Chase Bands, Adam Khalifa, Marie L, HSCP, TX Trader, Dad Trader, Pitchbull, and they, as Bears versus Bulls is saying there, here they come.
Yes, yeah, people rolling in. What's up, everybody? How's it going? I see the first comment, Darwin saying, I mentioned that SPI trade yesterday. You were in it back in the day as well. Yeah, no, I was in the wrong side of that squeeze. We talked about that yesterday. A little bit of experience, a little bit of blowing up the account on that trade. But it is what it is. We are who we are due to those past trades, and good learning lessons indeed. But yeah, welcome everybody. Hope you're having a great trading day today. Lots of exciting stuff happening here, and yeah, lots to watch. So let's get started with this midday. How are you doing today?
I am good. I have traded nothing yet because I just got back off the big desk. But yeah, I mean, I have Disney on watch because the House of Mouse was certainly all up in everyone's face yesterday. I couldn't think of a better way to put it. A lot going on. I do think there's some kind of potential for trading this off the 9 EMA. We're actually kind of getting into that level now, so I'm going to have a bid set. Let's do 65s. And let's take a couple more shares here. There we go. Basically, just taking this to the top of the range. I'll probably save little pieces for the dreamers who go. If we make a lower low, I will have to go and say howdy. I was going to say that's all, folks, but that's not appropriate for Disney because that is...
It's Warner Brothers. Yeah, that's Warner a WBD. Brothers. If we were trading WBD, that would be
very apt.
Yes,
yeah, yes. But right now it's not. We're going to have to see. Hopefully this one doesn't get too frozen and I can get an opportunity to have this one let it go to the upside. That was a little bit of a stretch.
Roll. I
appreciate that. How are you doing over here?
I'm doing all right. Just kind of in this choppy range here on Intel. Again, I was pretty aggressive with it yesterday, and coming in today, I was like, all right, well, let me look for some of that continuation, and I kind of went a little opposite to the idea there, trying to push a little long. But yeah, we'll see. A lot of these chip names had a nice little flush off of the open. Now we're consolidating here on Nvidia as well as I get my charts ready. But yeah, Disney as well, kind of on my list to watch along with Levi's. Levi's earnings day one hasn't really done what I was looking for right now, but Disney from yesterday, as Adara just mentioned, quite interesting. We're kind of coming into that end of day consolidation, right? So let me take that VWAP out of the way. So yeah, take a look at that end of day consolidation. Kind of, we're attempting to push into that on Disney. So let's see if those sellers that came in real hot off of that annual investor meeting yesterday, if they've got a little bit more selling left to do today. But it is pushing into that 120 and trying to break as of right now. So other than that, I don't have too much on watch. Let me know what you guys have been trading in the chat. We'll take a look at it. I know there's a lot of names going around. I know that the cannabis names are moving quite nicely. The flush on chips was nice off the open. You can see the NQ and the ES both very strong off the open, doing a little bit of a reversion right now. Let's see how much further it can get. But we talk about those key kind of potential levels to consider. There, 18.5 is holding as of right now, or pretty much we're testing it right now. Back-to-back red candles on the 15s, though I'm seeing on the NQ, and then 5,300, a little chop high there at that 5,300 on the ES. But people talking about Tesla, keep her nimble. Obi saying Maurice, yeah, I gotta stay nimble as possible today. Tesla, yeah, sure, we can take a quick look at Tesla here. Tesla, that 170 kind of interesting over the past few days there. tried to make it yesterday, but today it seems like today's the day where you kind of catch a bid off of some of that dip buy off the lows in the at the open, and we're getting a grind back up. So interesting moves on Tesla. If you guys have been trading, I know you guys mentioned Tesla, but like, how have you guys been trading it? Are you guys long or short? I'm curious to know how it went as well.
Yeah, we're always very curious to hear what everyone has to say here. We do have a lesson of the day, as we do. Quickly before we get into that, I actually just noticed this little action on NVIDIA. NVIDIA consolidating below VWAP has me say, thumbs up. There's no words. I'm just having my thumbs up because this is the type of stuff I like. We have a bottom more or less of this 896 area. Then if you want to give it to 895.50, I would say that's pretty fair. And the high of this little range is going to be 898.50. I've taken ranges for less. That gives you about $2.50 if you time it right. Now, of course, I do struggle with timing, so I would be cognizant of that. The other thing I'm being cognizant of for this one is the fact that right now we're ducking down below that 90 EMA. This range might be getting a little bit tighter, but I do think there are some possibilities here for me to get NVIDIA before the end of this first hour here. But for now, it is time to learn and chat about trading. I think that transition worked better in my head, but that's okay. It is time to chat about pre-market trading. So we had the morning, the midday, and the afternoon, and now we have the pre-markets going slightly out of order here in terms of times of day, but that's all good. Just taking a look at these notes here. So basically, pre-market trading, just a quick introduction. This is extended hours trading. It happens from about 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And basically what this does is it allows traders to respond to some news that might have come in the morning and before the market initially opens. So it gives you a little bit of a sneak preview for some things you might want to be keeping an eye on during the official trading hours of 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And initially, this was exclusive to high net worth and institutional investors, but advancements in electronic communications networks have actually made it possible for individual investors to get involved and get a slice of that pre-market pie. And this period is really important. It allows traders and investors and what have you to react to this overnight news and some pre-market earnings reports. And it also offers chances for some early action in the stock market, although there are a couple challenges with regards to reduced liquidity because there are less eyes on the market quite yet. It also has some wider spreads, so there's a little bit of heightened volatility. So that is the take there on the introduction to pre-market trading, but also, what are some catalysts that we might be having our eye on in the pre-market?
Yeah, so definitely catalysts are important. Things that happen in the pre-market, such as earnings announcements, small cap releases, economic data, comments from Fed Reserve speakers, and then that can obviously significantly influence that pre-market activity, right? For example, a company announces some earnings before the market opens, and then sentiment really likes that. It's a positive sentiment, and that could have like a strong move in the morning as well, or it could be like a bad report, or maybe a stock offering, something to watch out for in the pre-market. You have economic data releases such as employment numbers, GDPs, PMI. We've seen that in the morning session as well, and. Just news can happen in the pre-market, giving you that ability to get involved and get that early look at some of those fresh news reports in the morning for the day.
Yeah, there we go. And also, once you have your catalyst, you have to be thinking about things that you want to look for in this pre-market, right? So some things you want to look for are going to be these key levels that might be worth keeping an eye on. So I'm just going through my notes here to see where everything is. You do want to be looking for some key levels in the previous day's trading session. So Sharif talks about this a lot as well. Shout out to him over there. Hopefully his safari is going great, but he'll often talk about the previous day's highs, lows, and closing prices. And those also comprise the pivot points. Like, these are really key levels, and you can start to see our interaction with how stocks are interacting with these levels in the pre. These levels can be crucial, and traders will often seek a sense of direction in pre-market trading, sometimes based on these levels, like, oh, we're above yesterday's close or above yesterday's high, we're below. Do you know what I mean? It gives you a sense of how we're doing before the market has even reopened its doors, right? So you're able to get in line, an exclusive sneak peek, a teaser trailer, if you will, at what the market's doing. Also, traders will often seek a sense of direction in pre-market trading, so you can get a sense based on what we're doing in the pre if the stock is going to experience more bullish or bearish momentum, or if it's going to be a little bit rangier. So if you have a stock that's seen a lot of pre-market volume and price movement, especially if it has a strong catalyst to back it up and give it a little bit of oomph, or if it's like a low float name, say, if it has any kind of impetus for it to move and it is already seeing this movement, you could have a nice trending day ahead of you with that stock. So that's certainly something to keep an eye out for, but there's some other factors to consider as well.
Yeah, so it's also essential to consider that market on open imbalances that can come in at 9:25 usually. So that's 5 minutes right before the open. That can potentially provide some clues about supply and demand at the market open, and then also using pre-market levels, right? So that you can use those as a guide to kind of plan your day out or plan your trade plan out. Some pre-market consolidations, pre-market highs, pre-market lows. Anything interesting, maybe some interesting price action that you might have observed in the pre-market session, and that can supplement your trade plan, or maybe even be the core of your trade plan, depending on how strong you like that price action. So yeah, opening market imbalances, indicators of potential supply-demand interest. 5 minutes before the open, and then pre-market levels as like guides. Obviously, they're not hard set rules, but they give you that potential for formulating some strategy and structure off of, for your trade plan.
Yeah, it's kind of like the skeleton of your trading day. It gives you like some bones, or like a mannequin to kind of work off of that you can dress and add to your trading plan. That analogy works better in my head, but that's okay. Risks and opportunities are also really worth discussing in the pre-market. Joe Schmo, shout out to you mentioning some potential pre-market risks as well with regards to it being easier to get, as he put it, smoked in the pre-market when you have some of these issues with placing stops. It's not something I was aware of. But basically, the pre-market session can totally be a double-edged sword. It offers you lots of risks, but also lots of opportunities because you have limited liquidity and wider bid-ask spreads commonly, so that can impact the execution of your trades. Trading on news releases in the pre-market can provide some opportunities to capitalize on movement before most traders are active, but it does also come with the risk of super high price swings, a little bit less protection for yourself, and a little bit easier to get a little rinsed. So it can really give you a good sense of levels, but sometimes it can be a bit harder to practically trade, or trade in a practical way, in these markets. But yeah, so really interesting. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about with that in mind for risks and opportunities.
Yeah, and some practical examples in the pre-market or pre-market trading can be, for example, a tech company can announce some news. You know, lately the theme has been semiconductors and AI, and if they release some news in the pre-market, that can add some sentiment for the trading on the day, right? So. Any significant action in the pre-market, traders can use that as like an indicator to see and assess how the stock could potentially perform into the market open session, right? So for just an example, a pharmaceutical company releases some drug trial news, and maybe their drug is like rejected, or it's not working, it's not as expected in terms of what the results wanted, and then they drop sharply due to that. And I think a prime example of this, if you want to look at it, is Intel, right? So Intel yesterday comes out with news in the after hours, but you can see again kind of a similar action there. After hours, that news kind of comes out. Pre-market, you can see that continued selling. So you have some defined levels, maybe some support turn to resistance in the pre-market, some support turn to resistance off of the open as well, and then we kind of sell off on that negative sentiment, and then potentially looking for that continuation happening today as well, as this could be a much bigger picture play for Intel on the day. So yeah, that pre-market action can give you some information as to how we might be trading relative to what happened based off of that news that can come out in the morning sessions or even the after-hour session.
Yeah, and it's nice too, is because the pre-market you can also use to react to whatever happened after hours too, right? Because it's still some of the same catalysts. It's still like if you have earnings that came out late on for example, Wednesday, if you have your Levi, this is still day one of Levi earnings properly because we had them in the aftermarket, right? So thank you very much, Obi, for going over that. That is our first round of the lesson. We do repeat it a couple times in case people come in late. But also, while our lesson was happening, seeing some mentions in the chat of NVIDIA falling, on its face a little bit. And yeah, we did break below here into 894.50, but you know what? I don't know if this is a full breakdown yet. And I say that because we didn't get as low as we wicked earlier. We did wick earlier here at this 1020 area, well, and then we came back up while still being within the range. So we are a little bit lower here. I want to see us break above that 895.50 before I decide if this is still intact and we're still doing this lower highs, lower lows dance. But if we reject off this 895.50, I might see a short here. This was a nice support area early. This was beautiful. And so I think if we can reject it, I might have to pop NVIDIA with a teeny tiny little share size and try to trade this one to the upside. But I do think I'd rather probably wait, to the downside. I want to take it short. But if we see support here, then maybe we'll take it along. I really want to see what happens, but I do think there are some opportunities at this level for our pal NVDA. Disney did not let me into the Magic Kingdom. I guess I did not have a fast pass for that trade. I was not allowed in. I do still like that level around 70s. I still have a dip buy here, but this 90 MA is getting higher, so I'm probably gonna have to change this dip buy. Again, not chasing, just reacting a little bit to what we're seeing here. It looks like the line might be moving up in the weight here for Disney, so I should probably move my point of entry about 10 cents from late 60 to late 70s, because that 90 MA, which is where I'm looking for that bounce that we've seen earlier, has been there. However, this topping tail, this looks maybe more like a dark pool wick, but the point is some of these wicks here getting me a little concerned. Hopefully they're not too wicked, these wicks, and hopefully, there's some other opportunities here, because I do think this 90 MA bounce is not a bad look at all. I want to watch and wait before I set an order here. How are you doing with Intel?
Intel, I guess I got a little stopped out. Again, I'm kind of going against the original idea here, but it's doing a bit of a chop, which is interesting to me. So I like the long off of kind of this range that's been happening here, but I guess I'm not really giving it the stop that it deserves. Right, it deserves kind of a little bit below day potentially, and we're coming right back into that low day. So I'll try it one more time there just to see. I did get stopped out already twice, so that 120 I do still like for the Disney. As Adara just mentioned, that 120 interesting level there, kind of coming into that previous day's consolidation, like I mentioned before. That let's see if how far we can kind of get back up through that. The wick here is saying 120.20, but I think that's just a little bit of a delayed print kind of wick there. People in the chat saying NVIDIA about to break down. Yeah, potentially. I don't know, but take a look at this. Strong leg down, and now we're consolidating just underneath that 900. So we've been observing a little bit of sell pressure every time we attempt to push and hold that 9. We kind of make it back through over and over again. The 9 doesn't really necessarily look as strong. And today, coming in today, going into almost the end of the week, right? Thursday. So we kind of slam into below that 9. Now that consolidation is happening just underneath that 9 right now. So let's see what NVIDIA has in store for us today with that 900 to 895-ish consolidation that's happening as of right now. But the market kind of it did a decent piece of a reversion there off of the 18,560 wick highs. You can see that on the 15-minute, and then just comes right back into that 18.5. So a bit of a little over a 50% retracement there on the NQ, and then just around a 50% on the ES as well. So Kevin Mendoza saying, all I have written in my trading journal are doodles. That's interesting. So how do you trade off of doodles? That's a new one right there. Yeah. So let's take a quick look at some of the top volume leaders on the day and see what they're up to as we wait for this Intel to potentially come in. If it does, if it will, who knows? But I've got the stop in. I've accepted the risk. Let's see if that kind of range works out there. So what is this? TCBP. So it's a pharmaceutical company here. So let's take a quick look at what they do. Okay, biotech, right? So doing some decent R-vol there, 2,000 almost, over 4,000 in the pre-market there, and nice little pop and drop. But nothing I'm too interested in. I'm kind of, what's the market cap on this thing? That's the first thing I kind of asked there. So the market cap is about 1.3 million. Damn. Okay, so yeah, I don't necessarily want to get involved with that one. Tilray, we know that some of the cannabis names are definitely in play and moving around today, but Tilray a little muted relative to some of these other ones there. I know that ACB has been running quite nicely. Palantir, flush off of the open. Interesting bid up in the pre-market there. I might have missed some sort of news on Palantir. Oracle deal. Okay, wow. All right, so large cap association trade and beautiful kind of a rip up off of the open there. I'm definitely missing out on that one. That was definitely in play, comes off the open and kind of rejects. So let's take a quick look left and see what that 24 may or may not have been on the Palantir. Sean is hitting that dollar club. What are you in?
We just put NVIDIA on.
NVIDIA on.
94.20.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I need 94.02.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, short. Yeah.
So
I would not
okay,
be
so
happy if it was-
both Adara and Sean are short. The Nvidia into that breakdown or potential breakdown we just talked about a couple seconds ago, and Nvidia is pushing that break as we speak. But yeah, going back to Palantir here, looking left, a little bit of maybe a consolidation, support turned resistance there. You can see a little bit of a support over the past couple of weeks. Mid-March, kind of starts to sell and really accelerates off of that 24. So might be interesting on a deal with Oracle. Can't really get past that 124. And oh boy, look at ACB attempting to push some fresh highs as well on ACB. So let's throw up a VWAP here, see if it's, oh boy, look at that. Beautiful kind of respect of that VWAP, pulls back into that VWAP confluence. We just talked about this, confluence with pre-market high. So that pullback into VWAP in and around that 760s holds that pre-market consolidation high, and then we push right back up onto towards high a day there. A little bit of a continuation happening. So kind of talk about this over the past few days. ACB bid was quite aggressive yesterday. The question I usually ask is if we pull back off of the open, can we get that little dip buy, kind of a pullback long? If the bids are real, where will they kind of catch on again? And it seems like 650 was definitely the spot for those bids, and they did indeed catch on. ACB pushing some fresh highs there. Allure, don't really know what's going on here with Allure, but looks like a potentially catalyst-driven news here. It is on the volume leaderboard, but again, market cap, okay, never mind. Market cap is 150, almost read 1 million. 150, so a little bit of a better market cap, 36 mil float, so not too bad there. Let's see what the news quickly is on that. Can't really, okay, so initiated a buy, so maybe on some upgrade news there. Buy from Chardan Capital. Okay, so interesting. So it's just off of that. So not really concerning. I'm not really going to look at that, but Tesla to the upside. Let's see what NIO is doing. NIO kind of trending to the upside as well, but got nothing else too much here on the volume board. That's kind of the top 5 or 6 names right there. AMD, of course, is up here. Wow, AMD is definitely the short. Take a look at this one. Who's been watching? Who's been trading AMD here? Straight to the downside. Strong trend. Clear kind of sellers in charge on AMD today. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I definitely missed out on that trade. How are you doing with your trades there, Adara?
Yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm just in the NVDA. We are kind of breaking up into 895s now. I'm looking to add to the position to 895 if we can kind of have that rejection there. I'm getting out of everything 895.50, so I'm giving this about $1.50, which I think for NVIDIA is reasonable-esque. You know what I mean? Because you do want to give this one a little bit more room to run. This trade was a little bit concerning for me because this is not the way I typically trade. This isn't really a range. This is more of a breakdown, which, you know, is more the type of trade that we see over yonder on that desk for the type of trade, Sharif is able to take with the momentum. But I was like Adara, you can still set your stop and profit level, or not your profit levels, you can still set your stop levels based on previous price action. So let me explain that. Look at just the intricacies of this little range here. This bottom of 895.50s, which is where I will be getting out if we break above it. Earlier, it was so strong, and then we rejected it so fiercely. I do think there's some opportunities there. I liked adding it to 895 too, although we did not get filled, because I like that earlier pop and drop. So really, I'm just using previous levels to help serve as the impetus for my stop levels. You a dollar in the money?
Why didn't you average in with me?
I tried to average it, I didn't get filled. It was going to be 895.01, and we got to 895.
No, you got to go the other way.
Oh, I got to go 895.99 or 894.99. Thank you, Sean, for that one. I'm going to change my little level for that.
Break 95, you're not going to get a 1.
I don't know. I think it was because I was a little too scared. I think that was what I was thinking, because I was like, oh, well, just in case if we break up. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I have no excuse. But thank you, Sean, for that one. I appreciate that advice. Definitely something I needed to hear.
I took 80s.
Pardon?
I took 80
Oh,
for 80.
that's good. So then it gives you like a little bit of room below that. Yeah. I mean, there we go. So congrats to Sean on that. I am like 25 pennies out of the money right now with where I got in, but hopefully we can average in when we get back up there. Also, Tisha Perkins is talking about CADL, so I'll look at this one for Tisha Perkins. Candel Therapeutics. This one had, brain cancer data. That's nice. Positive interim data from the randomized phase 2 clinical trial for non-metastatic prostate cancer. So that's a nice look. The one thing that concerns me immediately looking at this intraday chart, lower high. So we got up to that 268 area, some of these concerning little wicks. Then we get a massive bearish engulfing candle on the 3-minute here. We get to 260. We have this little baby wick above and this giant bearish candle. Now we're darting back below the 9 EMA. So I think that the candle might have lost its flame a little bit here in Candel Therapeutics, just with this lower high and this wick here. But let's look at the daily chart for C to the A to the D to the L. I want a couple more stats on this. I'm going to check for some float-related info for our friend Candle over here. CADL, this one has, this is 46.65% insider owned. So this is a bit like an ARM situation where there's a lot of insider ownership there. Let me see. Float of 15 million shares. Short float, less than 1%. So not significant short float. I think the main story here, in addition to that catalyst, is that pretty massive percentage of insider owned on that one. But honestly, the look on Candel is really nice. Higher highs, higher lows, massive push up. This is honestly not a bad daily chart. So I think there could be some continued movement on this. My one, like I said, my big red flag here, or I guess my red candle flame, I don't know. The thing that makes me, that would light a little bit of concerns for me is that lower high. But then again, we're trying to pop right back up here again. So nice look there. Also, Sean roaring with NVIDIA. Nice. So going well with NVIDIA. Now we're at into 894s. Very little upset that I didn't plan my reload very well, but thank you, Sean, for talking me through that one and explaining the logic of that one. So if we get back up there, the reload is at a better place. So let's see how this goes. I'm comfortable staying in NVIDIA. We can't break above that 895, so we're gonna hang out here and not get out NVIDIA quite yet. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right here. Just watching some of these names. I was looking for another, like what's the next trade here. I was just checking my list of top ideas just to see what those tickers are kind of up to, and some of them kind of working out. I'm not really involved in there. Levi was on my list as well. We know that they reported earnings today. And let's take a quick look at Levi's here. So Levi's taking a nice little pullback off of said highs. I was looking left. This is not really pushing all-time highs, which I initially thought it was, but Levi's has been much higher than this in the past. But take a look at that after hours kind of earnings reaction high in and around that 2075 pre-market action. kind of talk about that significance of potential significance of that pre-market action there as it kind of pops up, comes back in, and that resistance turns into support in the pre-market, and then we just blast off, kind of grinding up into the open, and then a nice little look at that spike in volume, and then the price action just like rips off of the open. We're taking a nice little pullback back through that opening price as of right now, opening price being 21.47, so just about a few pennies just underneath that as we break on Levi's into that into some of those pre-market levels. Let's see if that high kind of holds. We see this pre-market high there right before the open, 2140s-ish. So let's see where we're just pulling back right into some of those areas right now. So let's see if some of that holds on Levi's. Another name I kind of had on watch was Ulta. Ulta Beauty, kind of a makeup and health and beauty product seller, is got a little sell yesterday off of some, I think it was some fundamental change type of news there yesterday. Slowdown, yeah, beauty slowdown reflects cracks in consumer spending. So maybe consumer spending was much lower than expected, and that crack in consumer spending came along with a crack of through 500, and we push quite aggressively off of the open. And this name definitely is that pushing SSR. Yes, as of yesterday, yes, definitely into the close. So an SSR, potentially SSR name there today as well, pushing right back up. And only catching a bid as of today, so we are getting a little bit of that reversion happening there on Ulta Beauty. And another name I kind of had in step with this was Elf. So Elf, another kind of name that happened to be in step with Ulta yesterday, but coming in today a little different as it doesn't catch that kind of a bid. So the question I'm asking is this one on SSR maybe not as much, as it's only down about 11% as of yesterday. So a little bit of a different kind of mechanic maybe going on there, as one of the names is SSR and the other one isn't, and you can see that the one that is having a harder time selling off and kind of pushing into the ask there and trekking a little higher. So I had some of those names on watch, and of course people talking about okay, so King of Rings saying CGC just got slapped. Okay, let's take a quick look at CGC. CGC did not get slapped. It's still within that trend. Look at that. Yeah, sure, maybe a little bit of a sell-off, but well within trend. You got to remember, these things are sitting quite pretty in terms of their short float. I think ACB I checked yesterday was about a 27% short float. So definitely some big boys sweating a little bit with this pressure there. So even though the pullbacks can be volatile, if and when most of the buying pressure is coming from squeezes, the pullbacks can be quite volatile, I've found in the past. So let's take a quick look on the daily here and check out some levels. So ACB, of course, a repeat offender. We know that it has these crazy pop and drops where it goes 100, 200% for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, and then slow little bleed off in the end. So are we going to get more of the same? Post-split runner here happening on ACB, so pushing through that, what is that, $5 breakout yesterday, that happened there, and then now we're getting that continuation on the day today. So let's go down to that 15-minute chart and really take a look at where that VWAP may be standing. Are we holding VWAP? Bidders are obviously kind of buying is obviously out pressuring and outweighing the selling as of right now here. Let's see how far this ACB can get on the day. I know you guys are trading it in the chat. You guys keep mentioning CGC, ACBs, and let's see what else you guys are trading. Soundhound. Okay, so that one was, I remember it was on the leaderboard in terms of volume quite a bit over the past few weeks, and it hasn't necessarily been around even in the top list. So yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago while ARM was running around and doing its thing, Soundhound was also getting a significant amount of volume, now really kind of dropping off of those leaderboards there in terms of volume leaders. So let's take a quick look here. Let's take that VWAP off. Okay, I got to do this to take it off. All right, cool. So a little bit of a strong selling, maybe a lot of bit of a strong seller off of that 10 mark, and then pushing just gradually to the downside there. You can see that volume kind of dying off as well. Let's take a quick look on the daily, and we might see that in a little better form. So you can see strong volume, and then a little bit of a die off, and then the price action coming along with it. Let's see if it can break down this 473 level here. Just looking left, a little bit of a support before it did kind of pop up on the on this past run that we kind of had. So maybe a little bit of relief. I guess another name I haven't checked in a while was ARM. ARM, let's take a quick look at ARM. I know that one's been interesting for a while. Yeah, so I still have this alert kind of up from before, from I think earnings day one. And still, we've been holding this level kind of as like a shelf. You can see every time it kind of comes in, sure, it's the lows at 115, but you can see a little bit of a step up here in and around 121, 122s. Just an arbitrary kind of an alert. Whenever it comes down there, it's just there to remind me to take a look at the name for potential play, either to the upside, back to the upside, or maybe we do crack and then we can see if we kind of break down below this 115. But as of right now, over the past couple of months, since this name has IPO'd, since that earnings report, we are holding some of these prices as a shelf on ARM. But yeah, that's all I'm kind of looking at right now. Still in this Intel, kind of letting it work. Let's see if that kind of comes in here. I gotta go back to the short eventually here, but I guess I don't really like these prices to sell. I think I heard Neil earlier on talking about kind of Intel was ranging. Yeah, so yeah, I think the prices to sell are up here in the 60s and the 70s, and the prices to buy as of right now are in here in the 40s and 30s. So why am I stopping out before those levels kind of even come in? I got to do better with that. Give it the real risk. Risk down to low a day, or maybe even below low a day, and size accordingly for that range trade until it kind of picks a direction, and a distinct direction to the upside or to the downside. But as of right now, we are just holding that opening range and kind of trading inside of that. You can see that opening range on Intel quite aggressive both ways, really. So I'll pull it up here on the 3-minute, and we can take a quick look at that before I pass it back to Dara right here. So 4070 to 4030s right there, boom, that defines the range, that opening range. We have not broken out of that opening range. We attempted to break out on one side through the 70s and then comes right back in, but holds the base on that. So I guess maybe some shorts potentially trapped off of an opening range high lick grab. Longs definitely I think did not like that. When that opening range high break kind of fails, comes right back in, you get that selling right back into the lower end, and you start to define some of that lower end of the range there. So let's see if we get that continuation, or maybe a little bit of reversion. Is it on SSR? It is not. So a little bit of a chop and churn sideways consolidation happening here on Intel. Let's see if what we do with that VWAP in and around 55s. So I'll stay patient. I'll be waiting. I guess the name to short when it comes to chips today, there was one name that really kind of is winning on the short side when it comes to the chip names there, and that is AMD, beautifully kind of selling off to the downside here. A little bit of a sideways chop since, what is that? For about 20 minutes. So interesting little base forming here on AMD. Let's see what AMD does in and around this 177.
Yeah, let's see what AM does there on AMD. Yeah, you mentioned that chop, and that's the same thing I've been keeping an eye on. We know what I'm like. I see something like this, and I see these giant wicks to the downside. I think we could get maybe an influx of buying here. I want to be patient. I am involved in another chip name that just ripped up a little bit here, so I'm trying to be cognizant of that. But I do have, an order here. If we get to 894, just shy of 50s, I'm trying to learn from what Sean was saying there. Then we can add to this position. So I will be averaging down a little bit, but it's more just about having more size as we make that move to the downside. I was really happy I got this bottom wick here with some of the profit takers. This I basically got out flat. This was a fat finger, but I do still have a third of the position left. Let's see what we do. I don't mind adding. I mean, we don't have. I was just kind of concerned when I saw that green candle, but there's not really a lot of oomph behind it. Plus, I forgot my NVIDIA is on the 1 minute on my side chart because I like to sometimes scalp that off the 1 minute. Today, though, NVIDIA has been a bit more of a slow grind mode, and so I've been trying to respect it. I'm trying to give it its space, you know, show that I respect it as a stock. If it wants to move a little bit slower, I'm okay with that. Now I'm okay with our average. We're going to start taking this pieces off as we get down to the bottom of 194s. This is one of the scariest trades I've made, and not because, again, it is moving a bit slower for NVIDIA's normal speed, but it's because it's really not a range. I'm playing, I mean, like, of course, like I said, my stop loss levels are really based on the previous range here, but this is a bit different for me. I'm playing NVIDIA as more of a breakdown, and we just broke up here. So, like I said, I'm giving this to about 895 50s. So we are getting into the danger zone there. NVIDIA, if you want to eject off previous levels, do your thing, 21. Of course, I can't force you. You're an independent stock. So let's see what happens there. Tobes mentioning Nikola. So yeah, I did bring this one up earlier on the big desk. Nikola did have some production updates. They produced 43 hydrogen fuel cell trucks in Q1 and wholesaled 40 of them. Or wholesold. I don't know how to do that in past tense. Wholesold?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It sounds about right. Wholesold?
I appreciate that, Obi.
Sold wholly. Yeah.
Wholesale? I said wholesale.
What is the
past
tense of wholesaling?
Yeah. Sold whole. I don't know. But yeah, nice double bottom here in Nikola. So if you got that double bottom at 94 cents, you would be about 3 pennies in the money here.
Wholesaled.
So nice look there.
Apparently the past tense of wholesale is wholesaled.
It is wholesale.
Nice.
Okay, so I said that and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But thank you, Obi.
Sounds about right.
Obi,
I had to check it. I was just like, I'm curious. I've never really looked into that, but nice.
I like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a nice. Thank you for bringing that one up there, Obi. But yeah, Tobes, I think that is a nice look there on Nikola. AMD, I'm still obsessed with this chop and churn. My one concern though is there's clearly selling power here. I mean, look at it. AMD to the down. It's AM downside. That's what it's been all day. It's getting AM destroyed. But these wicks to the downside make me think we could have maybe a little bit of a selling opportunity. I should wait for another candle, though, before I get involved, especially because I'm shorting another chip name. So that would be a skosh counterintuitive to be short the one and long the other, especially because it's, you know, Intel sometimes will move a little bit independently. AMD and NVIDIA are usually frickin' frack. They're neck and neck. They're dancing in the same direction. So I don't really want to step in front of a freight train there, especially because I'm already involved in the freight train that is NVDA. But NVDA looks like it might be turning on me, so I might have to get out of that and get involved in AM Dizzle. Intel, this is so rangy. I actually really like this look on Intel.
Yeah,
also, congrats to you. It's a really nice long right now.
Thanks, but the thing is, I got chopped up on the long multiple times, so we're trying to kind of get that back here into the flow with the ticker here. And yeah, you were definitely right. It is ranging quite nicely there, about a 30 penny range. So if I wasn't so greedy and I was just like, all right, well, I just want to buy here. I'm not looking for the breakout right away. Maybe we need some of that morning consolidation to kind of pan out and come in. If that idea even is going to come into fruition, right? So yeah, I think I got to do better with staying nimble. Again, I keep saying this because I know I have to kind of improve on that sense of being nimble there. So if it's going to give me the range, I just take the range. You know, don't ask for too much. Don't ask for the moon. Sell in the 70s, buy in the 40s. Keep on churning that out. Sure, you can have a short bias. You can have a long bias. Either way, if you're playing that range with that kind of mental, where like I'm gonna short the top of the range. I'm gonna buy the bottom of the range, regardless of whether you're trying to go long or short, you're still winning on that trade, right? So, or set of trades. I just was too greedy. I was looking for that breakout right off of the open. I was like, let's look for a bit of reversion. The short might be a little bit crowded here, and really let's try to test that selling pressure out from yesterday. But it seems like some of that selling pressure definitely moved over into AMD here, as AM Dizzle kind of pushing for, or attempting for fresh lows. 177. A little bit of an interesting level there as well. When you look left, yesterday, that crazy strength, the crazy amount of strength that we got on AMD was just off of that 76, 77 level here in the morning session, and then that was a higher low relative to the day before where it got crushed. right? So you got a pretty much a 100% retracement in the span of 2 days. So you could see that 175 was quite nice. And I remember getting long off of this 175 here. If you guys remember, we did that on the midday show on Tuesday. That 175 lick grab was absolutely beautiful, so beautiful that it actually it holds a higher low and continues the next day into 182. So 175 to 182. Oh boy, was that a nice move off of some significant action that happened at that 175 on the tape. And yeah, kind of, I guess what I'm learning is that sometimes action can be so significant that it's not just an intraday trade, it can move on to the next day as well. And we're getting a nice little pullback of that whole kind of action. So those sellers coming right back in just underneath that 184, 185 on AMD, quite aggressive. But if you look left and you look a little sideways there on AMD, it's just been chopping in this range over the past few days, right? Since what is this, March 19th? So look at this chop. This similar kind of idea. 187 are the wick highs. Maybe some more. More prices or more price action hits that 185, 184, but that lower end of the range being that 175. And sure, you do violate it by a couple of points, but you get the gist. AMD is moving in this chop range, and you can see that over the past couple of days, it's been quite volatile, reaching and traveling to the ends of said range, as most of that move comes right off of the opening print or opening kind of session there. Kind of a chop and consolidation reversion near the end of the day. So yeah, I'm looking for that reversion on AMD. Are these sellers going to continue to sell and not really give us any sort of relief? This is a 15-minute chart on AMD, and that 177.5 is holding as of right now. So let's see if we can get some breaks, some reversions happening here on the AMD, and I would like to get potentially involved with that trade if it does come into fruition there. But let's see what NVIDIA and some of these ETFs are doing real quickly before I pass it back to Adara. SMH, we'll go to that. SMH kind of, okay, so a little bit of a bounce off of yesterday's highs. Yesterday, I was very aggressive in terms of the short idea on SMH, on the whole chip sector. And I wasn't using SMH, I was using SOXL to kind of trade that idea. So you can see that SOXL, some interesting price action just underneath that 47. The tape was absolutely beautiful. Kind of it did not want past that. And yeah, even though we were trading in the upper end of the day's kind of action, that 47, when it doesn't want that, when it shows me that kind of stuff on the tape, I do want to get short. And that confluence with that 900 on NVIDIA as well. So lots of confluence for that SOXL short yesterday and today. Kind of an outlier move, a little overbought, and it does come in quite nicely. I was looking for VWAP, but it comes in quite hard and heavy, right slamming through that VWAP into the end of day with that market move that we had. So quite an interesting action there on SOXL. So that's what's happening there with the chips. Let's take a quick look at NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA still kind of to the downside there. So yeah, it is looking quite weak as it is coming right back into some of yesterday's prices here, 890. So like we said, that 900 can't really hold yesterday either. So that was some strong confluence. And yes, Sean is still short NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is looking quite weak there below that 900. Can't really get back past that 900. Sure, it tries. It gets a few points, 5 or 6 points above that 900, but on that back through, that fail, oh boy, do those sellers come in hot and heavy every single time over the past few days, it would seem, on NVIDIA. So let's see if that kind of comes back into fruition. Let's see what NVIDIA does. Does it break fresh lows? As we speak, it is breaking fresh lows there. So congrats on those shorts there, Darren.
Thank you. I did get out a little bit too early, but I have to say, you know what? I'm still going to be proud of myself. As Sharif has said, and something I really take to heart is, you're always going to be angry as a trader. And here's the thing. I'm really proud with how I did manage this trade. This was, for one, not usually the type of trade I take, in that it was not a range. I got involved near low of day at the time, which is also something I'm usually not want to do. But then I got, I had these reloads planned, and thank you. I really want to shout out Sean. He's not here right now, but I'm going to give a Sean shout out because I was initially trying to get into this at 895, 01s for the ad, and Sean was like, why would you add it like 01s? Because if you wanted to not break 895, it kind of has to break 895 for you to get filled. And I was like, that's a really good point. So then I decided to go about 79s, right? Just shy of 80s. Then I did fat finger out some of it for basically flat. We didn't really lose much there, but then I was really proud. I got bottom wick at the time, or more around bottom wick at the time, right? So I used that level just based on where we wicked down to previously. Then I was like kind of a little bit nervous. We started breaking back up here. I did add at 894, I think 60s here, that we kept scalping out then, and I saw that we broke above into 895 20s, but we couldn't break 895 50s. I said to Dara, add once more. I did add again at 895, I think just shy of 895, 894 90s, again, using Sean's advice there to help with the additions. And then we dropped below, and I got out the rest of this at 894.20. So I could have stayed in a little bit longer, but I am really happy with this trade, and I'm really proud that I took it because it's not the type of trade I'm usually comfortable with. And again, now that he's actually here, I'm going to give another Sean shout out. Thank you for helping me with those reload levels, much appreciated. And shout out to Sean also because he's still killing it in the short. I am pretty sure. There we go.
Hey, yo. Oh, Google Long, eh?
Oh, okay. Google Long.
Let's take a quick
I'm going to quickly pull up Tesla here,
here
too, because I know some people wanting us to look at Tesla. Yeah, sorry, I can't even believe we haven't mentioned Tesla yet, guys. I apologize. There's been so much action here with these chips. But what a look here on TSLA. We are heading into 174s now.
Wow.
This 9 EMA bounce is great. I need to get involved in this. This bounce off that 9 EMA is something else. I swear there's like at least 10 to 12 3-minute green candles to the upside in a row. Yeah, sorry guys, we didn't look at this earlier. It's hard in a day like this when there are so many catalysts, but I think this Tesla is a fantastic look. Cybertrucking to the upside, I would say that for sure. So congrats to anyone involved in this long, fabulous look. I'm also really going to quickly take a look at this super chat. Guilty Gunner, thank you so much for your 199 super chat. Thailand and Colombia working to make cannabis legal. Yeah, I know a lot of countries have been trying to work on that in the works. Let's take a look at MSOS. Shout out to Fabian mentioning this one to me earlier today over at La Big Desk. Yeah, MSOS up 4%. This was a nice look on MSOS. Holy cow. Not a lower low in sight. Sorry, Trend, I just bumped you there. Not a lower low in sight. And I guess, yeah, Trendon would like this because this is a trending ticker. That is for sure on MSOS with all this these positive cannabis headwinds. I mean, look at this bounce off that 9 EMA here. We make a slightly lower high and we go back to but we don't make a lower low. So MSOS is like, I'm going to keep going higher. Pun very intended there. And then we do have another bounce off VWAP. This one, it wants all the smoke. Again, pun very intended here on MSOS. We did make a slightly lower high here, though, but again, not a lower low in sight, really, with the exception of this move down into VWAP. So I want to see what we do here in MSOS. Yeah, let's see. I'm not obsessed yet with MSOS, but if it makes a higher high or if it keeps being rangy, I might be. So I like that look at MSOS. That potential AMD long is still a really interesting look, I think. But I know you were about to mention Google. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. Google. Sean was talking about Google being $1 in the money, so I did pull it up there on the goggle. We saw that after hours kind of move there, quite interesting. Nice little pop and slam right back in. I was like, do we get that continuation sell off of the open? That 152 holds quite nicely. 154 testing right now. But take a quick look at this. I do want to get short on this name real quick. What just happened? Ooh, okay, never mind. That dropped much faster. I was like, okay, well, I kind of hit the bid there. I thought I hit the bid, and the bid dropped even harder there on the Disney. So, well, I'll stay a little bit patient there. Okay, so anyways, Apple moving to the upside. Apple very strong as well alongside some of these other names. There goes Intel. Oh boy, I'm not even looking. 174. There comes the high. Bye-bye shorts. Let's go. Let's see if we can break those highs. So this is the trade I was kind of waiting for in the morning, and it comes in a little bit later. Let's see if these 75 sellers are going to be here. Market quite strong. Look at that. Look at that. It's reverting the reversion right now on the market. So let's see. Tesla also screaming to the upside. That's absolutely crazy. And I saw somebody in the chat list out a bunch of names that they're watching, and one of them was GE. And oh boy, look at this continuation on GE. This was one of my top ideas as yesterday, and I kind of missed out on the long, but take a look at that continuation. 136 yesterday, comes in today, breaks yesterday's high at 148, trading 151s. GE, quite strong. We know that energy has been moving quite nicely as well. We know that oil's been moving around as well. So yeah, this energy ticker, GE, a classic name, an old school kind of a market leader coming right back. So I was watching this on the daily. Let's go to the weekly though, and you guys can see this may even come back to its former glory here back in the 2000s. We know that during the dot-com boom or just before it, GE was the leader of the markets. And take a look at that, a little bit of a base in and around 30s. And I was jokingly saying over the past couple of years, there are GE traders, there are traders from the past that still believe in GE coming back to those highs and kind of coming back to that status of being one of the leaders in the market. Hey, I was definitely, I might definitely be wrong on that. If GE continues this bid up, look at this aggressive bid on the weekly. This is about to break out of multi-year highs, the high being at 2016, so 158 on GE. If that breaks out, next stop 200, stop after that 298. Do we break all-time highs? Oh boy, is that strength quite aggressive as of right now. So a little bit of a continuation happening there on GE from yesterday's aggressive action there. We saw that a couple days ago. It did do some nice R-vol, so maybe some big boys catching that dip buy off of this 136 kind of wick and then pushing right back in. Who knows? But that strength on GE over the past year, past weeks has been quite aggressive and quite nice here. So Intel pushing into that 75s. Let's see if this area stays a place to sell, or do we kind of break and crack through some of those levels from yesterday and catch a little bit of a squeeze, as it did have an aggressive selling yesterday all day through some of these levels here. So look at that aggressiveness. You know what? I'm going to take some off right there. Thank you. Come again. But I still have a little bit on. I do want a lot more. I had a lot more here, but again, I got to do better at not being as aggressive when the trade is there and staying nimble. Again, I'm going back to this because I'm realizing that I need to be a lot more nimble with my trading. When it's ranging, sure, you can have a long bias. You can have a short bias. Who cares? The stock is going to do what the stock is going to do. If it's going to range, I got to stay nimble enough to be like, all right, well, this is the range. Sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, regardless of long or short, and then kind of continue that trade until that range kind of gives some direction. And sure, it happens to be that right now that bias came in quite aggressively into those 70s, back into those 70s where, yes, sellers have been a little bit dominant on the day, but look at that. Yesterday's kind of end-of-day consolidation high off of the opening session, chops around, can't really get back through, and now we are attempting to push through that again. So the question becomes, do these sellers, we know that 40.80 was interesting yesterday as well, do those sellers that broke below that 480, do those guys come right back in, and does that pressure come right back in on Intel, or do we get a little bit of reversion here? What is AMD doing? Is AMD reverting yet? I think that reversion, if and when it does come in, could be quite juicy, quite nice. But you got to keep an eye on this one there. It could come in just as aggressively as the selling came in. We are making quite an interesting and distinct consolidative base here in and around that 177 on AMD. And Disney, that was the ticker that I tried to punch into short for a potential reversion, and as soon as I punched it, the bid dropped by another 10 pennies, and I was like, all right, well, if you're gonna do that on my remove liquidity punch, I kind of want to stay away from that for a little bit and let that kind of pan out. Let's see if that 120 really is some resistance, or we're just chopping and churning in and around these levels here. So let me know what you guys have on watch. I am kind of looking for the next trade. NVIDIA, oh boy, Sean, you still in that short? That short is printing right now as NVIDIA pushing some fresh lows on the day here. Clearly, Intel is disconnected from these chips, doing its own thing.
Yeah, I don't think Intel has the intel on what its chip buddies are doing at all. Intel's like that one chip in the bowl. Like, you know, when like the manufacturer accidentally put like the wrong kind of chip in there, and you like go to have, I don't know, your Lay's.
Yeah, you find a hot Cheetos and you're all dressed.
Exactly. You know? Thank you, Oakley, for helping me like figure out how to finish that metaphor. There you go. That would be exactly the experience. But yeah, AMD though, this is interesting. I totally agree with you. When this pops up, it can be pretty massive. But here is my thing, because I do have a caveat with this. Why I went short, I know I was talking about the long, but I don't want to get involved in the long yet. And I say that because we had this massive pop up here on this green candle, and then we back again to the downside. So I think the AMD buying is going to be on the horizon, but I don't think it's here yet. So I don't want to get AM destroyed. I took a tiny position here, very, very small, just trying to scalp this down to the bottom of this little range, but I don't think we're going to get that. I'm only giving this about, what, like 12 pennies? If we get into 70s, I have to leave. I don't know what that face was, but I will be beheading the trade. I will be cutting it off at the root. We'll be getting out. We're basically flat on this, so I'm not going to leave yet, but I am getting increasingly nervous. I totally agree with what Obi said about how if this one pushes back up, I think it could do so with a viciousness, but that's why we're not adding. We're keeping our small baby position, and we're just practicing getting involved in this market. Also, yeah, I mean, Tesla again, I'm sure Elon is Elong right now. Someone was mentioning earlier 176 Tesla, and I was thinking 176 Tesla, but now it's like, oh my gosh, 176 Tesla. We're at 175.25. This could be a really real possibility. Let's look at the daily for some potential levels of resistance on this name, because I do think we could be feeling the resistance in this one. I mean, to me, look at that. We had this bottom earlier. Where is this? Oh, we're already above this. It's like 175. Okay, so the next level that I think is interesting, these double tops here, this is 177, just shy of 178. To me, this double top, these big red candles before that larger blast to the downside, I want to see what we do at 178. Tesla right now is driving like it's on like a freeway or something, going 100 miles an hour. But I think if it does have a bit of a speed bump, I think that speed bump may lurk at this 178 area. So I want to watch what Tesla does there. I'm trying to see if there's any other potential levels here even earlier, but I think we've mostly eclipsed some of these earlier levels here. And by that, I mean this little chop and churn consolidation range, which again ends around that 178 area. So I do think 178 could be a little bit spicy for TSLA. So let's see what we do here. Also, shout out to Elon in the chat mentioning LVS. So I'm going to pull that up here, Las Vegas Sands. Also, this is pretty funny. So I was sending Sean some notes on Levi's last week, and for some reason accidentally put the ticker as LVS in the notes, but the notes were actually on Levi's. And then Sean's like, wait, is this LVS or Levi's? And I was like, I promise it is Levi's. But yeah, so apparently my brain said Levi Strauss equals LVS. So good times. This is a nice little double bottom here in Las Vegas Sands on the daily chart. I think we need to kind of break above these higher highs here. What does concern me is today, this little wick here on the daily chart. We did have this kind of wick up into that previous high of 54.50. Now we're back down into 53. So to me, a skosh concerning, a skosh, putting your hand on your chin like author pose type moment here for me and LVS. But I think honestly, other than that, this is a nice look off this pseudo double bottom around 50. Congrats to you, Elon. If you're in this trade, this one is a very nice look indeed. Let's look at the intraday on this, because this intraday look, sorry, I didn't know if you were thinking the daily or the intraday. Let's look at the intraday, because this is also nice. We have this chop and churn here around 10:30 at that 53 level. Then we push to the upside. We make a higher low, and we continue to grind higher, as Elon said here. So it's a really nice look. Also, I do have to address this very funny message from Brad Gober in the chat. Tesla jumped in the SpaceX rocket ship. I mean, yeah, that sums up all that price movement now. We are breaking down, though. Not breaking down, that's a strong word. We're kind of pushing down a little bit here. I think maybe this EV needs a bit of a charge here, because we go down into this 174 area, but we're covering pretty well as well. These 5-minute candles, though, it's not a bearish engulfing because of how strong that bullish candle was, but this could be an area to keep an eye out for on Tesla. Also, AMD, if you would like to make a decision in either direction, I literally will take either direction. That way I know whether to hold them or where to fold them. But AMD right now, seeing a little bit of chop and churn, I think I may be getting pushed out of this. I think this might be going higher, but I have no reason to leave yet. I'm giving this to 70, so let's see what we do in AMD. How was your Disney short?
Disney short is working out there. I guess those 90s weren't too bad there. I'm looking at my keys here. Why didn't I get filled when I punched those 95s? Because I tried to remove liquidity, and it seems like my cross key on the NYSE is a little bit funky here, so I'm just changing that around. I didn't realize that the sell is actually it's kind of it's selling above the bid, so it's like that's clearly not what I want. I want to sell into the bid, so I'm just going to change that as of right now. So boom, right there. Let's see if that kind of works a little bit better here, because I do want to be able to remove liquidity effectively if that's the case. Okay, boom. Okay, I got that key set up nicely, fixed that out. I did not realize that. I guess again, the setup here is a little bit different than the one back at my desk. So I guess I didn't really realize that on the NYSE keys, my cross key is a little bit was misprogrammed, I guess. So yeah, Disney kind of pulling back off of that 120. Maybe that's what we were looking for a little earlier there. Let's see if it comes into fruition. VWAP down here at the 1950s. So I did want that 20. I wasn't able to get that 20. So let's see how far Disney can kind of come back in. That 120 acting a little bit of an interesting level yesterday, and coming in today. Let's take a quick look at that as well. So there goes the NQ and the ES to the upside here. Is Intel following in step? Not yet. I do want to get more. Oops, did not mean to do that. Okay, so right here, let's throw up a VWAP right here so you can see. That's kind of weird. But yeah, so yesterday, end of day consolidation was in and around this 119, but just before that selling comes in quite aggressively into that 120. Now, I kind of messed up yesterday. I did not have the right idea, and I had too much aggression for the long side. I was being like, all right, well, this I'm looking for the reversion, I'm looking for the bounce. Doesn't really happen. This shelf cracks right here. Stop out. I try to get long again here. This shelf cracks. Stop out. I'm like, well, boy, you got stopped out of a shelf crack 2 times in a row. That was definitely a sell. No reason to get long here on that name. Especially look at this selling that comes in. Look at these candles that are very, very distinct. Just opening back to back. Just opening and just going lower. Opening, going lower. Opening, going lower. So some aggressive selling off of that 120 happened yesterday on Disney. Let's see if those sellers can kind of come back in as it struggles that 120.20, and maybe just some relief to VWAP, right? I'm only looking for VWAP. If it wants to bid all day, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm just looking for a nice healthy little pullback into VWAP. If it'll have me, I will take it. Apple's still pushing for fresh highs. SPY is attempting high a day right now. High a day is 523.70. We are trading at 23.55, so just a few pennies away from that one there on the SPY. And clearly, look at the ES. It's off of the ES, right? So ES pushing for its highs as well. Let's see if NQ can violate this wick. That was an aggressive wick on the 15-minute off of this 18,560-ish area, and look at that. We're coming right back into it with a vengeance, holding that 18.5 there, 18.5. A little bit of a 20-point push below it. But look at those wicks, pick up, and then pick up on the 15, hold, and then rip right back through. So that's what's been happening there on the NQ. Alphabet still going to the upside there. 155 is almost coming in. Amazon 185 almost. There's a little bit of a bid on Disney, so let's see if we can get some better prices here in and around that 119. In and around that 120 there on Disney. So I'll say a little patient for that one. Let me know in the chat what you guys are trading out of AMD. That's you saying that.
Yeah, that was me out of AMD. Yeah, we did get out. Now I'm trying to get back on the long, but right now, all we want to get into is Neil's lesson of the day.
Ah, yes.
Weird hand.
Welcome to the lesson of the day, and it's going to be day 2 news plays. So everyone gets all excited when there's a big news event, and the stock goes up, stock goes down, it goes absolutely all over the place. You're like, hey, extra volume, extra volatility. Boom, we're gonna be all over it, we're gonna have some fun. And then the next trading day comes in and you want the shiny new thing, because that's how we are as human beings, right? Give me the shiny new thing. I always want to have what's the next big trade or whatever it might be. If you're looking at like one day it's AMD and the next day it's NVIDIA and the next thing it's SMCI. However, there are times when if you were looking at something that had enough of a catalyst to give you a big volume spike, to give you a big move, you don't want to get away from it the next day as a trader. Why? Because the opportunity might still be there. And it might be a big opportunity, or it just might be an easy opportunity. And when I say an easy opportunity, I don't mean to tell you trading is easy. It's just that the read of the movement can be easier because the news event has given you a lot of good information to deal with. So the great thing and the reason why I'm doing this lesson is because previous day, yesterday, we had Apple in the afternoon on some robot news. I chuckle because everyone keeps thinking it's going to only be a vacuum, but that's clearly not going to be the case. So you had Apple in the news. That was fantastic. Boeing had a big news move as well. Disney had its shareholder vote. So you had a wealth of names that set up some day two type of plays. And what you want to look for in a situation like this is, okay, first thing, did it matter? Right? Because if the news didn't matter the day before, then who cares? Right? Let's be real for a second. And so when the news dropped of Apple, and we'll start with that example, when the news dropped, did it do something significant? I mean, it ran the high of the day, had the biggest volume spike of the day at that moment. Let me actually just go up. Biggest volume spike of the day, so that's a big check of the box. Did it have a big move? Well, okay, it ran the top and then flushed about $1.50, so the entirety of the afternoon range got taken out. Then it even rebounded all the way back to try at the close to get back to the break even where it was when the news came out, and right back into a double bottom. So volatility increased in a heartbeat. Volume went through the roof. So that's going to check a major box. So what can you do with that? I say this on Fed days. I say this when you have an 8:30 number, like a big jobs report or the CPI. When you have a liquidity vacuum, and that's what happens, that's what causes stocks to move like this when there's news, is you get a liquidity vacuum, then all of a sudden it'll just increase volatility. Where do the algos and where do the market makers want to come back in? And then ask yourself if that's going to help you. So very clearly on Apple, you had a ton of activity as it broke down through 170, and then as it resisted 170. You then had a bunch of support at 169 to 169.5, like down in this range. So those are your areas of interest. This is where people are making markets. That's where decisions are going to get made. When the news is bad, sellers are all about the 170 and worried about this 169.50 holding. And the buyers are happy that there's support down here, both from the morning and then in the afternoon. So when you come to look at this in the next day of trade, it'd be easy when it's holding out here at 170.20 to just say, well, if it breaks out yesterday's high, go long. You know, that's a very standard play. If you weren't thinking about the news, you might just allow it to break this top and go long. You'd be long in the pre-market if you did that, or maybe you'd wait until 9:40 to make your trade. However, remember the key price levels. It rejected 170 twice on that news. You're now gapping the next day and holding 170 in the pre-market. When you hold that level, that is one of your two key price areas to trade. So when it dips down in, look how quickly it bounces off that 170 level when it gets down there. And then to boot, remember I said about the high of the day break, well, what happens if it starts taking out resistance on the way? Does it hold the next resistance up? This is where it broke, and this is where resistance was when the news broke, 170, 30, and 40. It then holds that off VWAP. It then breaks yesterday's high and holds that again off VWAP. So essentially, all you had to do on the day two play is observe, is it gapping up? Answer yes. Is resistance turning into support? Already happened in the pre-market. It dips into that price. Resistance point 1 in the afternoon, bounce. Resistance point 2, bounce again, and then it goes off to the races. So in this particular case, it was in play, but it went the other direction. It wasn't even with the direction of the news, but the levels that you're trading off of are clear as day because you paid attention to those liquidity gaps. And I said there were multiple movers. Boeing also was in the news for all the wrong reasons yesterday. And I'm not going to try to spin the story. It's actually going to be up today, but I'm not going to spin this as good, production down, and it absolutely craters. It broke a flat bottom here at 187. Like that was the big event. There's your 187 breakdown. Now it was at 188. There's your next level when the news hit. So this is when the news hit. It was at 188. This is where the happy stock was. It then broke a 187 support level. It tested back up to 188 and absolutely cratered. So at the open, what can you expect here? In this particular case, it was gapping up too far away from any long bottom opportunities. Like the same thing in Apple would have been looking for bids in the 185 range if I was trading it the way Apple was. So without the ability for the long and knowing it's going to be in play, well, it's set up for a short back into that 187. You just had to wait for it. At the open, it wicked the top here, couldn't break 87, 87.5, which is this support in there. You short it back through 87. It ends up not following through down to 85. Now, obviously, I left something on the table, not getting out 85 halves, holding for 85. Trail out at the time, I actually thought it was a bad trail out when I took it. It ended up being a good one. But look at where this triple top is now. Is it a coincidence that we're getting right into that breakdown point and you're unable to punch through? So once again, it's that liquidity vacuum. You wait for the prices where everybody seemed comfortable to make a market before the news. When after the news and it was bouncing and ripping off the bottom, that's where the sellers jump right back in, the same place where they were comfortable making a market. And if it gets there the next day, you almost think of it like when a small cap gets into one of those bag holder zones. And you've all seen that before. Like, I'm just going to say sundial because whatever, sundial. Like at one of those weed stocks. You see something that's been down for weeks upon weeks and months upon months, and then it has a 3-day spike on news into a level that everybody's been waiting for the last year for it to get back to, because that's where it had like a wall of resistance. And that's break even for a lot of people that got trapped into it. You're going to get a lot of sellers in those zones for obvious reasons. It's not dissimilar with a day 2 news play on a more substantive stock, like a Boeing or like an Apple. When it gets to that level, probably a lot of transactors that are day trading swinging at those prices. So that's where you want to try to wait for it. You know, Boeing, it was a bit of a different story from Apple in that Apple showed you the levels and then gave you the long off the bottom. Boeing rallied as well, if we can come back to the chart, and it would be easy to, in hindsight to say, well, it gapped up the second day. Why weren't you just long? Because it didn't really set up. Like if the long showed me that down here at the 185 would have been the important price, these are dark pool wicks. Really, you're trading up here at 185.8, 186 would be your entry price. It's a little bit far away, especially when your low yesterday was 184.20. It's a difficult structured trade. Ultimately, risk to reward, in hindsight, it looks good. But you can take the short with a little bit more confidence in your levels as it pops up into it. And it's just about setting up trades. Everything in trading is, why am I looking at the stock? Where do I want to get in? What prices am I executing? And what direction do I want to go? And then from there, you just execute the trades. Well, the first part of that's already done for you when you have a day 2 news play. You already know there's action on the stock because there was significant news the day before. So listen to those levels, and you'll notice most times I'll pull up daily charts and a 15-minute chart so you can see where the stock has been. In this particular case, I don't care. I'm only looking at the significant levels when the news came out the day before. That's how specific this play is. So the next time you get a massive volume spike on a stock that you know, you love, that you trade, pay attention to those key levels. Have the patience to wait for the setups off of those levels and then just sort of hammer in when you get that opportunity. Do not assume that just because it's yesterday's news, it can't be today's trade. That's your lesson of the day, and that's the real deal.
Thank you so much to Neil for that wonderful lesson of the day there. Definitely, I think day 2 plays are really interesting and definitely something to keep in mind. We have some earnings names today, like Levi, trying those tomorrow, that type of thing for sure. So thank you very much, Neil, for going over that. Also, to the person asking you about SoundHound news, I could not find any. Right now, I did just get involved in Tesla, so just try to trade this one to the top of this range. I have another dip I set. Again, really small positions, just working on building these positions and trying to take setups I don't always take. So that's what's happening here with Tesla. But yeah, SoundHound, let's take a look at SoundHound, because I know we had a little bit of barking about SoundHound earlier. I know Obi went over SoundHound, but yeah, I mean, this one is it's a really nice, this is the 3-minute chart. Just bouncing off the 9 EMA here. This little candle is fascinating. So we get really chop and churned here at this 558 level, around 12. We have this one little wick to the downside, and then we spring up like a trampoline, continuing to bounce up here. So really nice look here on SoundHound. Sound the alarm for SoundHound. So it's a really nice look on that one. What else are people looking at here? BlackBerry ripping, says Nick Free. I know BlackBerry had earnings. Did you see that movie, BlackBerry?
There was
that was
a movie?
so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it was Jay Baruchel and there's other Canadian dudes. And it was also the guy who played Dennis in It's Always Sunny. Glenn Howerton. Thank you. Thank you, Fabian. But yeah, so it was really good. It's about like the kind of history of BlackBerry and stuff, and very Canadian because BlackBerry is a Canadian company.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, look at this move up here on BlackBerry. Kind of move down here. We have a pseudo double bottom at the 305, and then we bounce right back up. 305. I guess shout out to Miami. But let's see what we do here. If we can make a newer high, let's zoom out a little bit. Wrong direction. At 310s, because this consolidative top is wild. So I think breaking above that would be quite paramount, I think, indeed, for BB. How are your trades doing before we get into the lesson of the day?
They're going all right. I did kind of chase into that AMD break. I was like, all right, well, I think I can give it to the risk down here. Comes right back in, slams right back in, and kind of stops me out. Comes right back as well. So we are forming a little bit of a base here. So maybe I can get involved again with a little bit of a wider kind of risk. But I'll give it some more time. Just got stopped out. Let's see if this high kind of breaks. That's definitely that's something that I definitely like. But if it can come back down here, I guess that's the place to really kind of buy some more. And it did kind of come right back in and then rip right back up. So. We'll see. I'm willing to give this one some room, some time as well. Let's see if that reversion kind of comes in. But that NQ and that ES actually broke those highs. NQ attempted, can't really get quite there. So let's see what we got in store with some of those names here. I'm looking for the pullback on some of these as well. If we are going to slow down, Apple taking a little bit of a breather there as well. SPY kind of like we said, the ES clipped its highs. So let's see what we do in and around here. Intel still holding as of right now. Here, Intel still holding as of right now. And yeah, there goes AMD. So potentially looking like it may or may not break out there. I also like the Google push here as it attempts to push that 154 halves, and now maybe are we going to take a little bit of a breather here with Apple also potentially turning and Alphabet also potentially turning. What is Nvidia doing? Nvidia is still kind of chopping underneath its VWAP here. I'm seeing. So yeah, it's right at VWAP right now. I have VWAP at 897.35 here on my chart. So. Let's see what we got going on. I did really want this AMD long, but I guess I'm willing to chase if it shows me the right thing. Again, I did chase on the initial kind of push here, but take a look at that. As soon as I chase, get punished, slams right back down almost instantly. Let's go to the 1 minute chart and see how fast that was. Look at that. Pretty much, that would have been a beautiful trade if I just had it the other way, short to, if I sold here and I bought here, but you know, it's just a joke. Gotta, sometimes people say trading's easy. You just gotta buy low, sell high, or buy high and then sell higher. But yeah, a little bit of a chop happening here on AMD. There goes Intel. Let's see if Intel can break some of its highs with this market attempting for a push here. So I'm watching that Google. I do want to play a potential reversion if it'll happen, but if we're going to continue to catch a bid, I do not want to stand in the way of that. So I got to stay a little patient for that. Disney kind of coming in. Disney came into that VWAP we were looking for, so it did pull back off of that 20. It did kind of break this trend we got going on in the morning there. So let's see what Disney does in and around some of this. But we're below opening range as well, below this pre-market highs, below yesterday's kind of this consolidation off of yesterday. Couldn't really get past that 120 with any distinction, coming back into VWAP. So let's see what Disney can have in store for us. There goes AMD. Wow. So I got a little left left to the side as this move is kind of going right now. 188 coming in, so right there, that break, it was pushing that. So as soon as it pushed, it pulled right back in. So maybe that's not the move here. Playing the breakouts, definitely getting a little bit unforgiving there. So I think I just got to wait for good prices to come in if I like the long. If we're going to sustain higher lows and higher highs, which we kind of are right now, let's look for a higher low to get involved in, not necessarily punching into a higher high aggressively at 12:30 in the middle of the day, right? So it's clearly a mistake on my part there, and didn't really work out. But let's wait for the next trade, potentially on another dip. Let's see if the dip dips a little bit higher than before. But with the market kind of looking like it may want a breather here, I'm looking at Apple specifically. So let's take a quick look at Apple. So look at that, little bit of a pullback here. First red candle on the 5 minute in a while. On the 15 minute, we got 5 more minutes for this candle to print, and we kind of broke this strong trend that we're having. Look at this strength, right? These candles don't even have wicks, not even significant ones if they do. So it's back-to-back buying that happened on Apple off that 171. We go right into 172, and we're catching a little bit of a breather as of right now. So let's see what we do with that 172 on the Apple. Disney catching a little bit of a bid there, so I am potentially looking to get out of it if it's going to catch a strong bid. But if we come back into 120s and hold, I do want more of that one. So we'll stay a little patient to see if that one comes in. I'm looking at Google as well. Maybe I got to get involved with this one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Google's an interesting one. I also was stood up by AMD there. I was like, hey, AMD, want to go hang out? Want to take this long? AMD was like, oh, sure, Dara. I was initially in the short. I was really proud of how I handled this short. My level was about 70s because of these wicks earlier, and I knew if we picked up, we could really rip here. So I got out of the short pretty happy with that. I was ready to get back in the long, and Obi and I were talking about this actually off camera. I was like, oh, I really like the long, and AMD swept me off my feet and then, kicked me to the curb here. This is a really, really, really small position, so I'm not too pressed about that, but we're still seeing some resistance here at this 80 level. So let's see, to me, these big wicks to the upside of sellers to overwhelming buyers are a bit suspect. I want to wait and see. My other area of resistance I'm going to be watching out for is look for this bear flag breakdown here at that 178 level. We're knocking on the door of that level now. So let's see if that door will swing open or it gets slammed in our faces. I say "are," but I'm not involved in this name right now, but I could be. Tesla, also, I want to talk about this. I didn't get back involved in this because I didn't want it to be FOMO. I was really proud of my initial plan for this trade. We get involved at 175s, then we add a little bit at that 174.90s. I was watching, I was like, oh, we kind of get this high, then we break back down. To me, it looked like it could be a flat top break. I was pleased as punch. And then, speaking of punching, I punched out too early. We had a fat finger moment. And it's fun, because I've been better about this lately. But today here on Tesla, yesterday on NVIDIA, or not yesterday, earlier today, it's been a week. Earlier today in NVIDIA, going back to my old habits, I'm unfortunately not proofreading my trades before I enter them. So a little bit upset about that. But you know what? All you can do is learn and hopefully be less quick about punching into these trades. So I don't want to get involved with Tesla before the lesson of the day because that would be a hard lesson to learn. That worked better in my head. But yeah, I definitely, Tesla's a pretty strict teacher. So as we do this lesson of the day, I'm going to let her do her thing, 21. If this range is still there to greet me when I'm back, I'd be pleased, but I don't want to force it. And then the reason I didn't get back in here, because I was considering it, is I didn't want it to be a FOMO move. As I got out, we were having a harder and harder time holding on to 174.70s, and that's why I was a little bit sketched out. Of course, it did end up recovering, so that's very much my bad, but that was why I didn't add back in, because I was a little bit worried about it being a bit of a FOMO play. So there we go. But also, here we go. Also, yeah, Pub Noob in the chat. Just went over Tesla here. Tesla's really strong. I think it's a bit of a flat top break situation. We're coasting off that 9 EMA really well. But again, as Sharif always says, participate, don't anticipate. We cannot assume the move is going to be here until we actually see it. So let's see what Tesla does with 40s at this 175.40 area and see if we, high of day right now, by the way, 175.68, definitely just on a wick basis. Looks like we might be trying to test that now. I will be keeping an eye on the side chart. If we see anything big, we will give it to you as we talk about trading in the pre-market. So let's get into it. Quick introduction to this here. Basically, pre-market trading is going to be that trading, of course, that occurs between between 4 and 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's when the market begins. And basically, this period allows traders to respond to and trade with the news before, as we get it, and before the market opens. So this initially, this pre-market trading used to be exclusive to these higher net worth funds and institutional investors, but advancements in electronic communications networks, or ECNs, have basically allowed individual networks to get a piece of the action as well. This period is really important because it allows you to react to some of that overnight or early morning news and some late night or early morning earnings reports, which of course offer chances for early actions in the market. However, it can pose a challenge because you do have reduced liquidity and the larger spreads, which can lead to some heightened volatility and make things a little bit riskier. We will get into risk in a moment, but we're going to have to see what happens here. But yeah, we also, pre-market catalyst also definitely worth noting as well. So as we did mention, earnings reports are going to be one of those. Also some small cap news releases, economic data, and comments from Fed speakers are always things to keep an eye on here. And if you have a company announcing, for example, better than expected earnings before the market opens, it could lead to an increase in the stock's price in pre-market trading because of some excitement and positive reactions from investors. But if you have, for example, a negative earnings release or economic data that the market didn't react positively to, of course, as we saw today, the market was loving that number that we got with that jobless claims. But if it wasn't, we could have had a move down here, right? So it's really important to see what we do in the pre-market because it can really influence the type of trading we get during the day. But also, a lot of things to keep an eye out for as well in these markets.
Yeah, for sure. Some things to look for in pre-market trading is pre-market levels, right? So pre-market levels can be defined, especially if you have a catalyst, as Adira just mentioned. If you have a catalyst in the pre-market, so let's use an example right now. So we have one today. Levi's had earnings in the pre-market, so something to look for, maybe some pre-market highs and lows. So you can see that after hours we had that earnings announcement. You come in today. Let's go to a shorter time frame, 5-minute chart. You come in today in the pre-market, you get a little bit of a continuation off of yesterday's after-hour levels and holds above yesterday's high as well. A little bit of a continuation, and then you have this kind of defined high as well at the 21. So what do we do with said prices there, right? We kind of talk about this off the open. We just rip off of that pre-market high. So pre-market highs, something interesting to keep in mind. Pre-market lows as well. And then on a catalyst day like earnings day one, it could prove to be an interesting place to potentially watch the tape as well. So you can see how it comes back in and holds in and around that same price on this little sell-off that we had, and then we are catching a little bit of a bid off of said level. So is this a case of support turn resistance, resistance turn support? Potentially on a shorter time frame. So directional indicators, again, if the stock is potentially going to be bullish or bearish, you might get a piece of that information in that pre-market. So that could be something to look for, is that sense of direction based off of how price action and the story of price has kind of built in the pre-market relative to what's kind of happening. You can see that it's been kind of trending up, and look what happens right off of the open. With the strong volume that comes in, you continue that strength to the upside on Levi's. Now, of course, it's not going to happen clearly and in trend like this all the time, but it kind of gives you a gist of where to maybe look to see what's going on in and around that level 2 and that tape. Around those prices in the pre-market, highs, lows, closing prices, and yeah, it could be just a directional indicator.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for going over that. I love the story of prices. That's a good, because I know you've talked as well before about how the market tries to tell stories, and I think that's a really cool way of looking at it. Something I want to learn more from. Really quickly, I just want to interrupt the lesson. Thank you to Elon for mentioning this in the chat. This massive pop up and arm here on the 3-minute volume. Let's see, volume on this seems, we've had like decent volume on this kind of all day, so this isn't a super significant volume spike. But I did want to mention that we are kind of coming into those pre-market high areas of 127.5. So I wanted to put that out there, that we did have this nice little push up here on ARM that moved about 60 cents in that one candle. So thank you, Elon, for bringing that one up. Put that one on my side charts. If we see any other movement there, or if we see any catalyst on that, I will let everyone know. But yeah, we're going to go back to this lesson quickly here too. Some factors to consider, some factors you might want to keep an eye on here, because it's really easy to, it's essential, it's really important to consider market on open or MOO imbalances, because they can provide you some clues about the supply and demand for the stock at the market open level. So you'll always see at 925, Neil and Sean will go, oh, the imbalances are out. And so then they can kind of tell you what stocks people are going to be really interested in chomping at the bit to get involved with, even before we get the opening prices, right? So traders will use pre-market levels as well as a guide to plan their trading strategies, but they're advised not to rely on them, because you don't want to use your level as a hard and fast rule, right? It should be more of a guide. It should kind of give you a sense of how this stock might behave, or some levels that might be interesting. But if they break, they break. So be very cognizant of that, using things as guides or as potential ideas, but definitely not relying on them too heavily. But risks and opportunities are also ample in the market.
For sure. I think risk can, you definitely have to be considerate of your risk, again, regardless of when you're trading, but in the pre-market, maybe a little bit more, because trading in the pre-market, as we said before, can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, offering both a decent amount of risk and opportunity, so reward. Again, something you might want to watch out for is that limited liquidity and wider bid-ask spreads, which are pretty common, and depending on how much volume is happening in the pre-market, right? You don't have that strong volume off of the open just yet, but maybe sometimes you do have volume in the pre-market, which can give you a nice and liquid kind of environment to really trade with. So I know there's a lot of people are like, okay, well, yeah, it's valid that you do need to watch out for watch your risk and watch out for wide bid-ask spreads and a lack of liquidity in the pre-market. But if it has a catalyst and it's doing a significant amount of RVol or even volume in general, it's pretty much trading like as if it's the open. I think one of the main distinguishing factors is that there are no halts in after hours or pre-market as well. So if you have the liquidity there, I think it's not as bad, and you can definitely risk a little bit tighter. But you got to watch out for that liquidity in the pre-market for sure. And yeah, for example, we talk about kind of news releases that can happen, that can provide you with said opportunity, but sometimes that volume that you're expecting may not be there in the pre-market, right? The news can be amazing, the news can be absolutely phenomenal, and you're like, yeah, this has to go up, this has to go down. But if the pre-market's not doing any volume and there's no liquidity, you might have some trouble kind of structuring a potential trade and managing your risk in said situation. But it's again a lot of opportunity as well. It can give you an opportunity to get in before that surge of volume in the opening session and really position into something that you might be convicted of in the pre-market based off of said catalyst or whatever is in play, right? So again, risk and opportunity both available in the pre-market. Just got to watch your risk and kind of keep those factors in mind when you are trading in the pre-market.
Yeah, thank you so much for going over that. And yeah, I mean, one example too of a pre-market news. Let's talk about some practical examples here. Palantir. This one wasn't on the watch list because it came out a little bit late to get included. Palantir, unfortunately, was not invited to the party by me. But there was that Oracle news that came out right after the watch list here, just after 8 a.m. Palantir and Oracle teaming up here. I'm going to get the exact headline. To deliver mission-critical AI solutions to governments and businesses. So teaming up for some, you got some of the typical Palantir story of a government contract, but you also have that collab with Oracle. So nice look there for PLTR. And you can see here, we're seeing that normal kind of, as Obi was mentioning, a bit more of that stagnant, spaced out pre-market trading. We were saying there's not a lot of volume, volatility, and then we get the news and poof, Palantir soars here to the upside. And that's one example of a nice pre-market move that you can see is on a catalyst there. So I think that's a nice look. And of course, you can always see as well sometimes when these earnings names drop. Let's look at one of these earnings names from the pre. Conagra Foods, CAG. This one, this one a little bit more kind of chop and churnish. But I think, this is actually kind of rangy. But the point I'm trying to make is you can usually sometimes see here in the pre-market action when these stocks are catching a bid or people are getting involved or selling, because there's this when some of the catalysts are coming and you have these opportunities to get involved earlier in the market. Michael, I've not gone live yet. I have said I just need to go take the compliance test, which I have not done because I have a lot of things I am always doing, but I am looking to take that and go live. Probably a good thing I didn't go live this week though, because with the exception of today, the trading this week has been dicey. I'm just gonna make that face. Today, and even today, the only positive name was NVIDIA because we did fat finger out of Tesla. Tesla would have been fine had I proofread my trade. Also, Tesla did break out above that 276 level or 176 to shut it to, I think, maybe Angelica or Angelina in the chat earlier mentioning that 176. I know it was someone mentioning Tesla 176, and I mean, wow, nice look here. We did break above it beautifully. But yeah, I mean, so what I'm trying to say is I am trying, the goal is to go live. I just need to sit down and do it. Also, Neil's back down, so I'm going to look at this chat from Scarjo Rabbit. Ask if Neil will eat that crap. I'm guessing you mean Vegemite if Tesla goes green 10% on the day.
10%? Let's do something more realistic because every single day is something that never hits. So I want there to be a chance.
Tesla, okay, sorry. I almost said Tesla. Neil wants there to be a chance, is what he says. He says wants something a little bit more realistic. But I have relayed your message to Neil, the real deal, in his glasses.
What about 180? What about 180?
What about 180, Neil says?
Okay. 180?
Well, that's less than 10%.
Hold that up.
I don't know. Can I do this? This work? Let's go with 180. I have a chart up right now. I don't know if it doesn't really matter. You guys can all see it. Yeah, the 180 level, I think 10% is a bit much, but I want there to be something that everybody can root for, and that as a Tesla shareholder, I'll be happy if it gets there, even if I've probably shorted it at some point and lost. So let's go with $180, and to make it even more exciting, it doesn't have to close above 180. If it's so much as prints a single cent above 180, I'll do a spoonful of Vegemite, which, by the way, is high in vitamin B, so I'll be good to go.
Yeah, nice. Neil, like, taking that and flipping it and reversing it. So shout out to Neil on that. Shout out to Scarjo Rabbit. I love your name in the chat there, and I also think that's a fun little way to keep things spicy. So right now, Tesla is about $3.75 away from Neil's Vegemite area there. So what is anyone else looking at here? Amazon, Eric Barker saying 185 on Amazon.
Oh, no way.
I am not as well versed in Amazon as the man next to me is.
Wow.
But this is actually a nice, this kind of doing something similar to Tesla. I mean, do you want to talk about it? Because you definitely know Amazon.
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know about that. Like I said, I just, I'm still trying to learn. It's just because I traded it a decent amount doesn't mean I know the ticker or know much about it. But yeah, no, it's pushing near all-time highs. I definitely know that just by looking at the chart, right? So that piece of information is definitely there for everybody to see. And yeah, take a look. 188.65 is the all-time high on Amazon there, and we are just pretty much just a couple of points away from that level there on Amazon. So we were talking about this over the past couple of days. It's been slowly making its way, kind of ranging that 175 rip up consolidation in and around 180s, and then now we're getting that trend to the upside off of that consolidation break. You can see that right there happens in the pre-market. We talk about how those pre-market action can be a little significant, and sometimes, and I've said this before, sometimes I've observed that some of the best prices can be dealt with in the off-hour sessions. That's either the after hours of the pre-market, but you can see looking left, look at that consolidation wick high in and around that 183, right? So I was like, all right, well, we tried that yesterday. We tried to get through that 183 yesterday, 182.80s being the high. Take a look at that pre-market action, giving us some information about a potential continuation off of that break. 183 holds in the pre-market quite spectacularly, and then you get that lower high, you get that higher low, higher low, higher low. Boom, here we go. 185 coming in on AMZN. Let's pull that up real quick and see if it has any sort of a size or anything in and around that 185. So AMZN, let's see. It's poised for that all-time high break. So there's 2,500 lots sitting on top on the ask at 185 on Amazon right now. So let's throw that kind of size filter on so you guys can see it. It'll highlight it for us. So 2,500 lots on my screen right here at 185 happening. So that's a little significant. High a day coming in. So we did kind of make this kind of a base here. Opening range high in and around 184.80, so pretty much right there. So let's take a quick little look at this 185 as it potentially comes in here, and I can maybe look for a potential trade here. I'm not necessarily going to go for the breakout right away, but that is some significant amount of size. Let's see what we do with that size before kind of getting involved there. If it's gonna methodically kind of continue up, doing more of the same, I think it may or may not print that size and come in for a little bit of relief before we really get going. But Amazon hasn't necessarily done 1 ATR yet. I don't think it's even doing any sort of R-vol today, but that 185, oh boy, is that some size. 185.10s, you can see somebody with 500 lots sitting right there as well on the Amazon. So pretty close to that all-time high, coming quite a long ways from the lows. And let's see if that 185 can even print as of right now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for going over that. Yeah, OB's former, as we were saying, we have to divorce stocks sometimes. I know OB and Amazon were once very close, but I know you said sometimes you guys still go for coffee and stuff. So nice look there on AMZN. Thank you very much for OB for that one. Also, Phony Baloney in the chat. Great name. Talking about Microsoft saying that it's getting spicy. I agree. I was trying to get involved in this breakout, one of these breakouts here, and then I was not able to get filled. So all good there. Microsoft not inviting me to the party. I am not dancing with Steve Ballmer there, but I think this is a nice look. And I think the one thing too that I would keep an eye on is look at this topping tail candle here. We get up into high of day, so 54s. Also, I need to leave AMD, so give me a second here, because that is a bad look. That was a really small position, but yeah, AMD completely sold off. So I'm just gonna swip to AMD quickly. So we were holding pretty nicely here, made a higher low, and then AMD flipped to the downside. I was trying to get out around here, and that just obviously did not happen. So we had a really small size. We're still positive on the day, but I think I need to stay away from AMD because this name has just been so bamboozling. Obi was talking about earlier. I was talking about earlier. People in the chat talking about it earlier. AMD needs some help in terms of what direction it would like to go. And right now it has decided it will go swiftly to the downside. But back to Microsoft, I think, so I was a little bit like, oh, this topping tail candle could be a little bit bearish. Then we get a nice little bullish candle here, though. We get this little tail to the downside, and we close a little bit higher, showing we do have buyers overwhelming sellers, and then we continue to fly to the upside. Let's take a look at the 5-minute here on Microsoft. Same kind of look. I want to look at the daily to kind of see what levels we're up against here on MSFT. Oh, Microsoft.
Oh, hello.
This is a nice daily chart.
Is that a 420 hold?
That is yeah, it's a 420 hold.
Nice.
Microsoft feeling the effects of the weed stocks. No, I'm joking. But we're holding this 420 really well on MSFT with this flat top of 430. I think if we can break above that 430, I think it's really bullish. And look, we did something very similar here all the way in November. Instead of having a November to remember, I guess that was the end of November here. We spent a lot of December just kind of chopping and churning, bobbing in and out of this 365, 375 level. Then we break above. We see another chop and churn consolidation phase here around these 405, 410 throughout the months of February and March. Then we break up, but as Obi says, 420 holds. So I think this is a really nice look on MSFT.
Hey-o.
So Microsoft, I really like how we're doing on that one. And I think, yeah, this continued push to the upside, this 9 EMA bounce, to me, I think, thank you. Yeah, I think, I don't know. For me? I think so.
Nice.
Neil did it. Oh, yeah, Neil was just...
That was me. The other one.
We don't, it's like the button whisper. It's a ghost whisper. We don't know who pressed it, but we're happy either way. Also, yeah, this Microsoft looks like the only way these Bill Gates are opening is to the upside. Also, everyone is flossing. How are you
Nice.
doing over here?
I'm doing all right there. Sean just pointed out to me that Bitcoin might be pushing for its highs, so I did pull up this IBIT. It's pushing past some of these highs that we made earlier on the week. A little bit of a gap down happened, and then we made these highs around 38. We were pushing near or for that gap fill potentially right there into that day's lows. And let's take a quick look at Bitcoin as well right here on the Coinbase. And yeah, 68 potentially coming in right here over the past 30 minutes. We did clip that 16.8, so we're attempting to push back through. We can see that over the past week or so. Look at this, kind of a strong volume flush off of that 70 happening. Let's take a look on the weekly and see how this Bitcoin chart has built up over time. And yeah, so we are holding some of these highs. Look at that. That strength comes in within the span of about a month, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. In the middle of that, you got a little bit of a 3-bar pattern going on here in and around that 50 thou. Oh boy, does that line up nicely. 50 thou 3-bar acceleration to the upside, 75 potentially coming in, but the highest we tested was 73.85 and some change, all-time highs on the Bitcoin there. So yeah, let's see what Bitcoin has in store for us today. 68 thou, potentially having a little bit of a testing session right now on Bitcoin there. So let's take a quick look at Coinbase as well. See what Coin is up to and some of these other crypto names. So Coin, a little bit of a flag or a little bit of a pennant type of forming, whatever you want to call it. Price compression is how I like to call it there. It is a price compression pattern where let's see where we go. We've been trending up and now price is compressing in and around that 260 on Coinbase. So maybe it is waiting for that Bitcoin to break out. Now let's take a look at our friends Mara and Riot, these miners. So a little distinctly different on Mara. Mara selling off today. Let's see what Riot's doing. Riot's probably looking like Mara. And yeah, Riot selling off as well on that. And the last one I like to check is MSTR, MicroStrategy, a little bit more similar to the Bitcoin action, but look at that, kind of a strong pullback after a morning kind of run. Is it doing any sort of volume? Nothing too crazy. What does it do on average? It does about average 3 million. What time is it? It's about 12:50. So we've done about a third of the average 30-day volume right now on MSTR. So a little bit less than I would like to even participate in, but being a $1,700 ticker, might want to look elsewhere to effectively put on some risk. And Apple with a bit of a pullback here. Hey yo, Apple. So we kind of talk about a potential reversion trade coming in. Apple is pushing off of that 172, 171.90s is the high. So let's see if that can come in. Can it get all the way down to VWAP? We are quite extended off of VWAP. 171 is the VWAP level there. And let's take a quick look at our friend SPY as well. You know, we got the ES right here. So SPY just holding near some of those highs off of that push that we just had on the spider. So let us know what you guys are talking about, what you guys are chatting about, what you guys are trading as I look in the chat. ACB saying Peter Silva. So yeah, let's take a quick look back at ACB here. ACB, wow, nice. Couldn't really get past that 9 and pulls right back in. So nice little, so it gave you opportunities on both ways, right? It gave you a decent opportunity for the long, and when that long doesn't really follow through, decent opportunity on the short side as well. So a little bit of a pullback happening. Continuation from yesterday though on a lot of these cannabis names. So let's see what we got in store here. But yeah, Apple with that pullback. Let's see if some of these other names will follow in step. Softy looking quite strong. Softy looking.
Because I know Randy's not here today. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, Softy looking quite strong, pushing towards its highs there. Let's see if Softy can catch a little bit of a break as well. As we are in the midday session, we talk about how that volume kind of tends to die off. You can see prime example right here, volume kind of dying off of the morning session. Maybe this last volume bar a little bit heavy off of the break of high a day, but overall we have been kind of cooling off here. A little bit more clearer on Apple. Look at that highest volume bar off the open and then consecutively lower and lower. So what is the probability of reversion in that situation is the question that I usually ask. And Google, looking a little choppy sideways here, so we do have to watch this one pretty close.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Also, Neil also apparently had the same reaction to the Randy sound, wondering where Randy is. It's a Pavlovian response. I think you hear it and you're like, and you're like, where's Randy at? But today he is not here. So yeah, unfortunately, no Randy today. But also, oh, there he is. Oh.
Oh, hello.
I love
it was
that,
like
Randy,
instant teleportation right there.
He's teleporting. I love that. Yeah, that could be a new kind of like teleportation EV. Who knows? But yeah, I want to talk about Tesla because I wanted to get involved in this, and then I was noticing some candles that to me looked a little bit bearish. I think we might have been over it though. So we saw this doji, and we had that big wick to the upside. Then we kind of, I guess in retrospect, it was probably just a doji and I should have gotten involved because if I'd gotten involved at 60s, which is where I was looking, we'd be about 30 pennies in the money. But I have to say, the point of this lesson is it's really hard to know where to get, or not this lesson, whatever I'm saying right now, is it's really hard to know where to get involved when you have a move that's parabolic like this on Tesla, right? Maybe not even like, maybe not parabolic, but we're up like 5 on the day. You know what I mean? 5% of the day for Tesla. Tesla has been weak a little bit more as of late. And then I see these 3-minute candles. I want to get involved, but we have these big wicks to the upside, and then we're just kind of hanging out here, right? So I'm a little bit worried things could turn. If we see a 90 EMA bounce, I might get involved. But to me, these candles here have me a little bit confused, and I don't want to bamboozle my way into a long when we're so close to high of day. High of day, for the record, is just shy of 177.01. We're at 177. Just shy of 177.10s. We're at 177.09. Numbers, Adara. But let's see what we do here. I'm going to be using the 3 and the 1 to guide me from a point of entry, and the 5-minute to guide me for the actual trade itself and for the trend. But I want to see what happens if we continue bouncing here off this 9 EMA. I think this could be a level. I would have to think about where to put stops, which is my only kind of concern here. Because with Tesla, you want to give it a little bit of room to run, but you don't want to give it too much room to run either, because Tesla can do whatever it wants to do. So let's wait and see what happens. Alexander Bamba, I think I tagged you in the chat earlier as well. No bond auction though at 1 p.m. It is not. But let's see how. Let's take another look at some of these. We'll just take a quick look here at MSOS one more time here for some people looking for that one. Yeah, I mean, this VWAP bounce is really nice. A little bit of a rangy look here on MSOS, but we're kind of dancing below that 9 EMA, which does make me nervous for any kind of long here off this range. Also, I want to talk about NVIDIA. Sean says in the chat, still short NVIDIA. So shout out to Sean, and shout out again to Sean for helping guide me through some of the reload ideas on this NVIDIA. I was really happy with this one. Also, though, NVIDIA looks like it might be ready for round 2 of the short. And I say that more for myself and the way I trade, right? Because I have the 1 minute on my side chart for NVIDIA because I like treating NVIDIA off the one sometimes. And that 896 base, 897-ish top, to me, I think there's some short opportunities there for the style that I trade. I do think there could be some kind of, room here for a trade. But for right now, this Tesla bouncing. So we're going to be getting involved in the Cybertruck and this move to the upside. This 1 minute chart is really not looking great here, but even if I need to piece it off kind of as we get into 176.80s and then just continue reloading, I'm fine with that as well. And Tesla's like, oh, you snooze, you lose, Adara. We're going to break new highs with or without you. So shout out to Tesla, although honestly, that move up did give me a little bit more confidence in this range. I think we might be doing what we did with that 176 break, now trying to do that with the 177. So come on, Tesla, give us some opportunities here so we can, we're Dressla to impressla. And we want to have some successla in Stressla. I'll stop now. Thank you.
I like that. I'm still watching this Apple, and I'm just like, damn, I gotta pick these vehicles a little bit better here. Apple is the only one that's really kind of doing that reversion back down towards VWAP, and nothing else really is moving in step with that. So Apple a little bit doing its own thing. AMD fresh lows as well, and I saw people talking in the chat about ARM, a little bit of a smiley face happening on ARM. Take a look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go down to a 3-minute chart here. Look at that. Beautiful, nice little curl, rounded bottom here coming in on ARM on top of that 25, right? Yesterday's kind of chopping and churning in and around that 25. And take a look at this today. Boom. Nice little curl happening there. So let's take a quick look left and see what we got. So maybe some resistance here in the 128s. We're just about in that area right now, 128s, 129s, trading at 127.60s right now on ARM. So let's see if ARM can kind of continue to the upside, but that reversion on ARM was absolutely beautiful. Look at that, VWAP sellers, and when those sellers kind of lift and that selling pressure is gone, oh boy, do we blast off and lift into that 128 on ARM. So that's a bit of a missed look for me. Apple reversion, maybe pulling in the rest of these names here as we pull back in. Let's see if the futures can get back into that 18.5 that we so indulgingly kind of orbited around for like a good what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's an hour and 15 minutes, so about almost 5 to 6 different 15-minute candles back to back. Quite an interesting level on that 18.5. Curious to know, if I throw up a volume profile there, where is that point of control sitting on the NQ? I will do that right now and take a quick look here. Let's go with the hourly. So I got to do it here on my own charts, and I'll let you guys know what it is if I can find the right one. Okay, boom, there we go. Volume range profile. Let me know. Do you guys like to use volume profile as well every now and then? How do you use it to find levels, to find trades, to find it's an indicator, right? How do you use that indicator as information to take and structure your trades? It's a good question, I think. So right here, 18.5. Yeah, exactly. 18.5 is that point of control. Looks about right off the chart there. Let's see if Disney can come back in. Disney coming back into that VWAP as well. So let's see if Disney continues to hold that VWAP, or that 120 is a little bit of a trouble point as it was yesterday on the mouse there. So Intel, let's see what Intel's up to. Intel is bouncing off of its VWAP. As of right now, so maybe potential. So I got out most of it there. I'm looking for more reasons to kind of get back into the long there. I was looking at the rest of some of these names. I'm like, all right, well, we've traded pretty strongly for majority of the session, the morning session, and a lot of the midday session as well. So when are we going to take a little bit of a breather if we do? And Intel, again, still well within its opening range, just an inside kind of trading day happening there on Intel. So maybe we're just consolidating before that continuation to the downside, right? We saw that 42 consolidation that happened a couple days ago on Intel. We broke out of it. Now we're trading below that and consolidating below that after a strong leg down yesterday. So maybe do we get that consolidation continuation leg consolidation and then continuation leg? That's the question I'm asking right now for the Intel, as we're doing quite a distinct inside kind of price action today on that name, distinctly different from the other semiconductors there. So if you do look at ARM, NVIDIA, Intel, all three of them, actually, I guess NVIDIA is looking a little bit closer to ARM there, sideways after the morning action, but it did have a sell-off in the morning. But AMD, distinctly different today with the continuous selling, pushing fresh lows as of right now on AMD. What did Amazon do with that 185? Oh boy, 185.10 is the high, and we take a little bit of a pullback. 184.80s testing right now. So let's see if these strong sellers that showed up on the Qs and on the ES in the morning, do those guys show up again? Is that resistance continued? Does that resistance continue to hold on the day today? That's the question I'm asking. Let's take a look at some of these. Apple's taking a little bit of a breather. So is Google. Let's see if Amazon takes a breather off of that size that actually probably did get filled. I was not watching the tape. 2,500 lots on that 85. Only goes 10 pennies. Probably got filled, and then we're coming back down. So that 85 did a decent amount of volume there, and a decent amount of volume high. So let's see if that kind of confluences on the chart with the volume. As I pull up Amazon, oh boy, take a look at that pullback. As we speak, it is falling to the downside right there. Look at that strong volume candle as that 185 breaks for the first time. So I am more than willing to assume that a lot of this volume candle was that 85, that 2,500 lots on that 85 that was there. And now we're pulling back about a quarter off of that 85. So I'm seeing a lot of red on the tape across the board here, and the NQs are potentially pushing for some intermediate lows relative to the past hour or so, 45 minutes. You can see that bit of a shelf action happening at that 18,550. We talk about, can we get back down to 18.5 there on the Qs. So Softy pulling back a little bit as well. What are you talking about, Sean?
Short 897.
897 short on NVIDIA, and that is coming in quite nicely. So, I mean, it's making lower highs. It's making lower highs.
I actually think it looks like a long. I'm just trying to will this.
Okay, yeah, you're just gonna try to speak it into existence, manifest.
Look at the NASDAQ's going. You just said, everything's coming in, but NVIDIA's holding. Look
Yeah.
at AMD.
Yep. I guess AMD was a chip to short, I think. I was just like,
Also, check out more Trader TV Live.
yes.
Please do. It's a great channel. Also Tesla's falling. But yeah, you can definitely check out more Trader TV Live. I'm gonna put show that up for everybody here so that you can check it out. And here it is. Come give us a check it out. Here is the dashboard. Oh, that's an ad. But in a second, it will not be this man on Dragon's Den. It will be our channel. So you can see here exactly where Sean's short, exactly where Neil's long, the trades that were made, the news, the biggest movers of the day. Check out more Trader TV Live. I feel like an ad there, but yeah, please definitely check it out here. It's a really fun channel where you can get some more of our trades. Also, Sean is very bearish and NVIDIA is falling. So, I mean, nice look on that for Sean. Look at this here. I was talking about that range I liked here at that 90 MA. Swoop to the downside. Really should have taken that trade. Let's see what we do here at this 895.50 level. That was a bit of support earlier, then a pretty massive area of resistance. Honestly, I already drew all these lines. I should be getting back involved in NVIDIA. Because NVIDIA, depending on what we do here, it's going to be my same impetus for getting in the short earlier. Depending on what we do, we may get long or short. I'm guessing that is your Lambo trade today, Sean, that NVDA. Oh, there's a couple of them. Sean being coy with the Lambo trades over there. Congrats.
He's got the Aventador. He's got the.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can remember right now.
I got that E-hang thing.
The E-hang
Eventual?
plane.
Even tall, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They're parked up top.
Oh, Murcielago, that's another one.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember all the Lambo names. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. Huracan, yeah, Huracan is one. Thank you, Raveen. Rickshaw, the Lamborghini Rickshaw coming out in 2025. Don't forget that one. Sean mentioning that one. All right, so Disney coming to the downside a little bit. Crack of that VWAP, so that 120 holds a little bit of as resistance. I did cover. Why? I was like, is it gonna hold? I didn't cover that last time, so I did kind of cover this piece right now, just a little bit, not everything there. But oh boy, do I need to have a lot more when this 120 does this lower high and that kind of shelf, interesting shelf kind of breaks there. Let's see how far we pull back in. This bid, where did this come? Where did this kind of come from? Right here, maybe a base around 19 and some change, but that low is 1840s on the Disney. So let's see if those sellers continue and show their hand again today on Disney. Quite aggressive selling yesterday off of what might have been that annual investor meeting and what took place in and around at that meeting there. So Faro Tower is saying DJT short. Okay, all right, let's take a quick look. Wow, nice. So DJT off the open was quite a beautiful short, straight through that 50. So in the pre-market, you can't even get past that 50 in the pre-market. You flush, you break yesterday's lows in and around 48s. Take a look at that. How far is a violation of the 48? 48 goes about to 48.36 and then slams right back in for a low of 45.97. So 46 is a little bit of a base there on the DJT. So let's see. We know that, what was that, 45? No, that was on Reddit. Never mind. Reddit 45 was a little interesting there. So let's see what we did today. Oh boy, look at that. Low a day, 45.11. So that 45 still holding strong on Reddit there. Apparently it's the gift that keeps on giving if you're watching for the back through on that 45 as that scalp or the level to level, whatever you want to call it, reversion to VWAP. That 45 keeps on showing up over and over again on the Reddit. So so a nice little slam off of that 48 right into that 45 in the morning session there on the Reddit. So let's take a look at some of these other IPOs that have been as of recent. ARM, we talked about that smiley face or that rounded bottom kind of happening there. It pushes up into 128 and pulls right back in. So that's definitely interesting there. What was that other one? There was a AAPL, right? AAPL was that other one. This one looks illiquid. Yeah, this one looks like nobody's in the lab right now. It's empty. So we'll move away from that one there. What was the there was another IPO as of recent. There was an interesting one. CTRB, was it CTRB? That was AAPL. Astera Labs was AAPL.
Instacart. Thank you, Ramin, for the Instacart.
Cart was one as of recent. Maple Bear. Right, Maple Bear there. So nice, interesting action today as well. There was another one that I did have on my list. I don't think it was maybe not an IPO, but maybe a D-SPAC or a SPAC that actually went through. It was it wasn't Reddit. It's a semiconductor SPAC. In the past 4 days, it was trading at 50s. Today, it's trading at $6. So it literally gapped up and faded off of that, and pure kind of a maybe sell the news type of thing. Trading at the 50s just a few days ago. Let me know in the chat if you guys know what that ticker is. I think it starts with a C. I think I did. Did I write it down? No, I think it's back there on at my desk there. CRBP maybe. CRBP. I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll let you guys know. But that's the one I wanted to look at to see what that one's up to. Some interesting action on that one. Again, a semiconductor name, so maybe it got all of that. Is it CADL?
That's a small cap.
Candel Therapeutics? No, not that one. That one is moving today. That one is definitely moving with strong Arval, CADL.
GCTS, that's what...
GCTS, that is the one. GCTS. Now take a look at this chart, guys. Holy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Damn. So this is ensued just in the past few days. So look at this. This was a SPAC. Look at that nice little $10 flat, right? March 28th, we come in trading at the 30s, 40s, and we come up, push into that 47 there, and look at that steady grind to the downside, doing the most volume down here as it breaks back through that $10 level. That's very interesting. The back through 10 on these SPACs is definitely a play in my books, and that is a missed trade for me. And I was looking at this on my scans last night, and when that ticker comes right back through that 10, guess who's offside? A lot of people kind of in anticipation of that SPAC coming through. Maybe they're selling on the first day. Look at that strong RVOL happening. But when that 10 goes back through, do we kind of fall apart with aggression all day selling and coming in today? A little bit of a flat line happening. Not really too much to talk about. But yesterday was quite significant there. So again, missed trade on my part. Beautiful action nonetheless.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I forgot what that one was. So thank you very much to Wes, y'all, for that one in the chat. Also, thank you to Ramin for yelling out and knowing all the names of all of those IPOs, tickers there for those IPOs. Because that she called it Clavio as well. Which let's actually see what KVYO is up to. See, no, I knew it was right. I always get this one. I know it's KYVO. Yes. Apparently not. Or is it on the NY? The ticker for this one, I feel like Clavio always bamboozles me with its ticker for some reason. I could always look it up, so that's what I'm gonna do. Clavio.
CLVO?
I know there's a V and a Y. I just never know what order they are in. So it must be KVY. So it is KVYO. Okay, so let's try this again. KVYO, New York. NASDAQ? Okay, sorry, I'm just having a moment here. There we go, we're on the New York NY here for Clay. Yeah, this is really illiquid. We have about 350,000 shares here, not much of a bounce. Also, it is 1 p.m. I will be keeping an eye for any notes we get from these Fed speakers. Barkin saying that no case is to be made that 2% inflation is not achievable. So a very roundabout way of saying that 2% inflation is achievable. So that looks like a nice sign for the market. Says adhering to that target has brought benefits and there's no interest in backing off the 2% target. So in a very roundabout way, we do have Fed's Barkin saying that Fed's 2% inflation target is pretty on point. Also, we are going to get back into that lesson, but if we see any moves, we will let you guys know. Draco saying, Adara, hold Tesla. Thank you for saying that. And honestly, I was planning on holding it anyway, so I do appreciate, though, that extra vote. I wanted to give this about $1 because it's Tesla. I was going to give this until, also because this isn't a range trade, right? Like if it was more of a range, I would give it a little bit more wiggle room. Or I would give it less wiggle room, but this wasn't really a planned range. I don't love where I got it, and I think there was a little bit of FOMO, but I did have that planned ad where we had that doji earlier of 176.20, so I added in there. We're having a nice bounce here off that 80s level. I should add, but I don't really have enough buying power left here on the sim. And then I will be getting out if we break below this 50s area here, which was very decidedly the top of that range earlier that I was trying to play before I fat-fingered out of it too early. So good times. Here we are in the Cybertruck. Let's see if we can keep trucking to the upside. Someone earlier was saying Tesla's trying to make Neil eat Vegemite. And I mean, I think it was. Now we're pulling back a little bit. Pardon? Yeah, I mean, Neil's down. He said it's good vitamins, so we're all good there. But also, we are all good with the lesson. One more time. Again, if I have our Benzinga, shout out to our sponsors at Benzinga Pro. Check them out. I have Benzinga up here. If we see anything major from the Fed or anything coming in from anything, I will let you guys know. So there we go. Pre-market trading, quick introduction here for everyone is pre-market trading does happen during the pre-market hours, so about 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And it allows traders to get a little bit of an early opportunity to get involved in the market, respond to any of these pre-market news stories or any earnings plays. We'll talk a little bit about potential catalysts in the next slide, but basically, this was initially an exclusive time to trade for, high net worth or institutional investors, but we had some ECN or electronic communication network advancements, which have made it possible for individual investors, retail traders, et cetera, to get involved in this pre-market action. And this period really allows, if you're involved in these markets, to give you a chance to react to overnight news, earnings reports, or anything else that might have happened while we were sleeping. It gives you a chance to get involved before the whole market gets involved. However, there are some risks we will get into later in the lesson, including reduced liquidity and wider spreads, which are never a fun thing. So that is the kind of quick lowdown on pre-market trading.
Yeah, so pre-market catalysts. So what can happen in the pre-market? Sometimes you get those catalysts like what? Earnings announcements, news releases, economic data, Fed Reserve speakers, right? They can all significantly influence pre-market trading activity. For example, if a company announces better than expected results, or maybe they announce results and the sentiment displayed through the price action is positive, or it can be negative. So you can kind of look at some of those to kind of lead your structure of your trade ideas and your trade plan as well. So economic data releases, we talk about those. So comments from Fed officials definitely can be moving the market. Employment numbers, GDP reports can affect the market sentiment, right? That can actually move the futures, the whole market itself. So if you're trading one of the stocks, then maybe you want to keep that into consideration as well. So companies releasing earnings, we talk about Levi's that had earnings today, and you got that nice little continuation off of yesterday. So they reported last night actually, and the report comes out last night. And look at that continuation you see in the pre-market. So that's information for me when I come in the morning, or when I'm doing my morning prep on the way here. I'm just like, all right, well, what did Levi's do? They reported last night. I need more information coming in. So around 8:30, I'm like, all right, how has price action built up in the pre-market here? Is it any significant? So we saw that it was building up and kind of pushing towards those highs, and it was quite aggressive off the open. I did have this on my screen, and it came in real hot, real fast, and I was like, all right, well, that continuation definitely was there, and I don't want to. I was like, this is a little bit of too wide of a risk for me to take, and I kind of left it alone. But if you were a little adamant and sitting at some of these prices, which is something I do need to get better at, is to start like automating a lot of ideas that I think are a little higher probability than others, definitely putting on the risk like that, and you can see how that pre-market high kind of comes in. So this is just one of the examples of how pre-market trading, how the ticker has traded in the pre-market with that RVOL, with that earnings catalyst on day one. So definitely in play today. Levi's being a great example of how that pre-market catalyst can take place and how you could potentially structure some trading ideas off of said action.
Thank you for giving us that in the wild example, as I sometimes call it here, when we give these live examples in the midday. But also, what are other things you might want to look for once you have your catalyst? What are some other things that you want to keep your eye on? Well, pre-market trading, it really is cool to see how we have these key levels from the previous day's trading session. So highs, lows, and closing prices, how they're interacting now, because they can be really crucial. Traders will often seek a sense of direction, look for some meaning of life in the trade, if you will, through in pre-market trading to kind of get a sense of where stocks are going to go, what direction is happening, whether a stock is more likely to be bullish or bearish, or whether it'll range. These are all things you can get a sense of in the pre-market. So seeing if there's a certain level it sticks to a pre-market. Was that a previous level of interest? Things like that are all really key. You can get a really big sense of that in the pre. So for example, a stock that has seen significant pre-market volume and price momentum in response to an earnings report, as Obi was just mentioning there on Levi's, that can be really key, and it can give you a sense of a bullish or bearish trend for the day ahead. But what are some other factors to consider? Find out.
Yeah, so some factors to consider there in the pre-market is market on open imbalances, which can come in around that 925 mark. Now, if you guys tune in to the morning show there, you'll often see Neil and Sean both talk about right at 925, that opening imbalances and that volatility that could potentially come into the market. So that's definitely something to clue in on and be aware of if you are in a position going into the open, right? So you don't want to get chopped around with that volatility. Maybe you want to sidestep it. However you wish to kind of structure your system based off of that. But something to consider if you are kind of involved in the pre-market is that market on open imbalance that does happen at 925. So traders tend to use these pre-market levels. Again, we talk about how you can use pre-market levels. Again, factors to consider: high, low, and close. Close from the previous day, of course. High, low, and close. Of the ticker as a guide to plan your trading strategy. So again, you don't really want to rely on them as a hard set kind of thing, but maybe it's a place to watch the tape, look at the levels. If the level has confluence and it stands out to you, maybe perhaps something to kind of consider with your trading plan in the pre-market.
Yeah, I think those factors are all really important, but also it's kind of important too to get a sense of risks and opportunities. Of course, they're always present in the market. What kind of risks and opportunities do you get in the pre? Well, let's talk about it. The pre-market section can give you a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, a little bit of a double-edged sword, because it can offer lots of risk and rewards. So some of the risks include limited liquidity and wider bid-ask spreads, because those can impact the execution and the profitability of your trade. So it is a factor you absolutely want to be aware of. So one example is if you're trading on news releases in the pre-market, it can provide opportunities to capitalize before most traders are available or awake or active. But it does come with the risk of significant price swings and the possibility of not being able to exit your positions more quickly due to lower liquidity. So I've talked a lot about, as someone who used to trade the very spready name that is Eli Lilly pretty regularly, it's a harder name to get out of because of that spread. So the pre-market, you do have a lot more spreadiness, and therefore it can be a little bit of a stressor, more stressful or a scarier situation to be trading in, and you get a lot of that in the pre-market.
Yeah. So I guess we can talk about practical examples there for that. So again, we talk about how Levi's announced their report last night. That was one good example. Now let's take a quick look at again, we talk about Intel as well. Now that's a fundamental catalyst in a way there. So Intel announces its its kind of news in the after hours. Take a look at that pre-market session. Nice little fader, and now we're getting a consolidation. So very distinct kind of sentiment. It's being shown in both the after hours and the pre-market, making that idea a little bit stronger for the sell on Intel. And take a look at what it does coming into the day. Now, sure, you don't know what it's going to do during the day, but this can give you a sense of probability, high or low, of what it may, what the sentiment going into the open might be. Clearly, it's selling off aggressively off of what it's been doing over the past few days. And we did come up off of this 41.42. We saw this 42 consolidation for a couple of days, a day and a half. And when it did break, you got that aggressive buying for 3 days in a row, right off the open. Bang, slam to the upside. Another one, slam to the upside 3 days in a row. And then on that third day, you get that nice little full-on 100% reversion, and the sell-off starts off. And then you get that news coming in as well. So aggressive selling right back down into some of those ranges from before earlier on in the month there. So yeah, definitely a lot of action there. You can pick up on that sentiment. That's a practical example of how you can potentially use some of that price action, that story of price in the pre-market or even after hours, looking for that continuation to confluence and kind of stack your probabilities for a directional bias there on something like this. So clearly, again, there could be many reasons as to why you might be interested. It's a potential fundamental change in the outlook or the forward look of Intel, and maybe large investors might want to kind of reposition in on that, and clearly showing their sentiment in the after hours and pre-market and throughout the day as well. We traded this yesterday and it was quite aggressive, where sellers were definitely in charge, and they showed you that right off of the open when that pre-market low breaks down. And even on the retest, you don't even get to that pre-market low. And this might something to consider as well. PMI came out yesterday at 10 o'clock. I remember getting stopped out on a couple of positions, but I still held that Intel short because of this bigger picture idea. I was like, all right, well, if I have my stop in for Intel, if it's going to go clip it, that's fine. I'll be wrong on that. But I believe and I am convicted on the idea that sellers are in charge, and I got a little lucky as they were in charge and got more short along the way there. But yeah, definitely that pre-market action can set you up for looking and maybe assessing those potential probabilities on said price action going into the day, and maybe some of that sentiment as well. Dell analysis, please. Well, I don't know about any analysis, but sure, we can talk about Dell. We can look at the chart. We can look at the colors on the chart and nice little volume candles and see what they're doing. I don't know if you want to call that analysis, but we don't do that around here. But this strength from yesterday, right? So a lot of strength from yesterday on Dell. Pretty much a chop inside trading on Dell today. That strong bar off of the open, that's definitely interesting there. So we did get continuation right off of the open, but after that continuation kind of slows down, we're just chopping and churning in and around VWAP. Look at that beautiful VWAP orbit. Distinctly different from yesterday, where VWAP held only for a little bit and then accelerated, closing pretty much near end of high a day there on Dell. Nice little continuation happening today on the Dell. Now, you know what this reminds me of, guys? GE. We talked about this one earlier. GE was doing some significant moves yesterday. Again, opening very aggressively, closing near the high a day. Coming in today, oh boy, is that definitely in play in my book. When you close high a day like that, or near high a day with that strength, that continuation, look at how it's coming in today. 150's coming in. So absolutely beautiful action there on GE. So we covered most of that Disney short that I wanted there, and just holding on to a little piece, maybe potentially waiting for a lower high to get some more in on here, as the market looks like it is taking a little bit of a breather. Let's see how far this pullback can actually go. But Disney did do a decent pullback off of that 120. We couldn't quite get to 119s. I was looking for a full point off of that 120. Couldn't really get there. Got to to 119.20s, caught a little bit of a bid and started to turn. The flow on the tape a little different, distinctly different from this strong selling that we had off of the 20. So I'm like, all right, that's good enough for most of it, and I cover just most of that and waiting to get potentially more in here if we do make some lower highs there, if Disney will have that kind of selling pressure come back in. Again, the idea being that yesterday's annual investor meeting, sellers were quite aggressive all the way down and held down that 120. And as of right now, selling has started to, well, maybe, I don't know, has started, but we got that selling off the open. We got a bid. 120 can't really get through, and that 120 takes a nice little pullback back through VWAP. So I'm watching this 120 area. Let's see what we do in and around here. Only about 20 pennies away from my break even, but like I said, I got almost nothing left there, looking to add potentially more. Here we go, Seshawn. Where are we going?
NVIDIA.
We're at 894.60.
894.60. Okay, all right. NVIDIA, let's take a quick look at NVIDIA here, see what that's up to. Yeah, NVIDIA kind of rejecting, holding below that VWAP, holding below that 900, making lower highs on these consolidations. Look at how long these consolidations are. You got to have a lot of patience to hold through this. This is a 3-minute chart. So this consolidation about an hour and a half. What about this consolidation right here? That we're doing right now, about an hour, 6 minutes. Oh boy, is that a long time just to kind of hold on. But that bigger picture kind of making lower lows and lower highs underneath that 900, where we've seen some selling pressure over and over again when it can't really get through and hold above that 900 on NVIDIA. So let's see what we got going on there. Disney coming back up. So is this goggle. So I do got to watch this goggle a little bit closer here. Got to put on the goggles and closely watch this goggle trade here. If it kind of pushes towards those highs, I don't want to necessarily be in there anymore. But if we do take a little bit of a breather, as the market is right now, look at this 15-minute candle printing. We got about a minute and 30 seconds for this 15-minute candle to finish printing. Let's see if goggle follows in step with this bit of a market pullback that we're having. Oh boy, Amazon 184.50. So that 185 couldn't really get through as of right now.
I love that you called it goggle. I've never heard that before. But yeah, it does.
Got to change it up from Google, you know.
Yeah, I like that.
A little bit of a change up.
We're bringing some variety here in terms of the ticker pronunciation there. Shout out to Sean shorting NVIDIA. I do want to get short here as well. That 895.30 area, 895.50. I talked about this area earlier. I should have been getting more involved. So let's see what we do here, because I do think this area was a massive area of support earlier, then flipped to resistance, then flipped to support once more. So if the time is not too late, I would like to have a date with NVIDIA, and I'm going to stop sounding like Dr. Seuss now. But also, this is not Tesla, this is TSL. This TSLA has been frustrating, and mostly, more than anything, I am deeply frustrated with myself for this, because I had the right idea here. I was really proud. This was like a really nice look. Oh, you're buying it at the dip, like all that nice stuff. Then I fat fingered out, and instead of getting back in, I spooked myself out. I psyched myself out. I didn't get involved. Then I tried to get involved at highs because, you know, in my defense, we were bouncing at this point really nicely off that 176.70 area. I get involved and it falls. I do reload, and I still stand by this area of reload here at this doji candle area. But then look, this area that I reloaded now is apparently becoming resistance. So we flip from support to resistance. If we don't bounce here again, I have to get out, because this is just getting so dicey, and my attempts to justify staying in this trade are not working. Initially, I was going to give this $1 and give it until the top of this previous range, but it's kind of not working. And, you know, as Neil said, as long as you have a plan, you can sometimes like flip from your plan and switch things up, right? So as long as you're sticking to the main ethos of the plan. The main ethos of the plan was I like these levels. And I still like this 176.20, but now I think I might like it better as a short. So we'll have to see what happens here. If we get back to 196.20, I'll probably 176.20. What am I saying? Tesla at 196 would be a very different story right now, but we're gonna have to wait and see what happens here. Mahmoud, thank you so much. Check IWM for the short flat bottom break. So let's take a look here. I do like hanging out with the Russell. I like hustling with the Russell at times. So let's see how the Russell is doing.
That looks great.
This is a nice look. It's a really tasty look here.
A bit rangy.
It is super rangy. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, everyone knows I like my ranges. So, yeah, Rashad in the chat. I am still learning how to trade. I am very new. I am still in the sim, and you know, honestly, profitability and consistency is a huge struggle for me. So that's really what I'm trying to work on, trying to get better every day. So, just wanted to talk about that. Yeah, I think this break might be happening without me. My only, yeah, where would I stop loss this? I mean, you could do this like 70. Give this. Where is this? 60. Let's do 70. Okay, we're gonna get short. If we can get it to, you know, we're gonna get short here, and then we're gonna be taking it out if we get above 70s. And I like this. I think we could have some profit taking around these previous areas where we stutter. So they give you about like 10 cents here, maybe another like 30, 40 cents. So I do like this. I am not a super patient person, and that's my biggest issue with trading so far that I found that I'm dealing with. That was one of the first things Sharif asked me is, what is your personality? With trading, and I said I'm pretty impatient on the short term, so that has been a massive thing for me, and I am trying to learn each day. Also, Eclectic Passion saying heart emoji Neil, which is just shout out to Neil. I like that. Just wanted to read that out because that's pretty cool. For LTAZ saying AMD was the trade. Yeah, AMD I was struggling with earlier. Let's see how AMD is doing on this one. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, this short. I should have gotten short when I got out of the long because that was a really nice look. We were initially holding this level. Oh, I got involved in NVIDIA, nice. We initially were holding this level really well here, this 177.40, and then we kind of broke below it, so I did end up getting out. Oubla di, oubla da, c'est la vie. But yeah, this short around this 90 MA level is really nice. It's something I should be trying to take a look at. Right now, though, I do have some, I think, trade managing to get to, specifically dealing with NVDA. If we make a higher high, I'll probably have to get out of that. And IWM as well, continuing to chop and churn. So always very happy to be here with everybody in the chat and with Obi and everyone here on the floor because it's such a great place to learn.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a great environment, and yeah, we're all learning here together. Again, I am nowhere near where I would like to be, and trading is definitely a journey there. So we try to get a little bit better every day. That 1% every day is always on the mind. Like, what can I be doing? What can I be improving on? What needs tweaking in the system, in the strategy? And it's just putting in that work as a collective definitely makes a decent difference in the experience here on the trading floor there. So Rivian double bottom saying Pranaya. Okay, let's take a quick look at Rivian here. Rivian, all right, so looking like a bit of a double bottom here. So let's see how distinct it is. So, 1043s roughly, the low being 1041s. Trading at 1048. So yeah, we tested this level, or we're attempting to test it for a second time now. We did test it for about, how long is this? This is a 3 minute. So about an hour there, consolidating at these prices. We come up above VWAP and then you come right back in. And now we've started to do a little bit more of the same there on the Rivian. So that's definitely interesting. I'm still in this Disney, did get a little bit more there, still in the goggle as well. Goggle kind of just holding in and around some of these levels. Let's see if it continues to make lower highs and maybe take a little bit of a pullback there, or do we just kind of chop around and do nothing? So I have no idea. I got my stop in, I got my risk kind of accepted, and let's see if this kind of comes into fruition here. Market taking a bit of a pullback here, but not as much as it did before as of right now. So only got about an hour, only about 2.5 hours roughly, 2 hours 25 minutes till the closing bell. So quite some time. We still got that power hour session. We're still in the smack dab in the middle of that midday kind of session where we talk about kind of more of a lower volume kind of dying off. You can see a clear example of that phenomena right here on the NQ and the ES. Look at those highest volume bars coming off of the open and then getting a little bit less and less as we reach that midday session. So let's see if we kind of pick back up going into the power hour and going to the end of the day, or do we kind of just continue to just fall off here? So Softy taking a bit of a pullback here. So is Amazon. Google kind of holding sideways here. So I am kind of watching it short from 54 38s there, trading at 50, so about 10 pennies out of the money right there. Let's see where this one goes. If the market's going to continue to push up higher, I don't necessarily want to stay in this one for too long, but I'm still kind of waiting and watching, and I got those goggles on, watching the Google here. Softy might be nice for that reversion, maybe potentially setting up as of right now. The spider as well, oh boy. Okay, so we did kind of clip that high. So same thing kind of happening here on the ES, as you can see. We clipped the highs, now we're taking quite a bit of a pullback. So spider might be pulling in a little bit here. Where is VWAP on the SPY, you may ask? I'm definitely asking that right now. 523.06. So 523.06, we're trading at 523.07 right now. So just on top of that VWAP on the spider. So looking for that, looking for those lower highs. Let's see what the spider does with its VWAP here right now. Are we going to bounce? Are we going to crack? I have no idea, but I'm going to be patiently waiting to react to whatever happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting out of Tesla here because we're not having the bounce I want or the bounce I need. So I'm in, oh, come on, Tesla, you're not gonna let me get out? That's cool. There we go. Oh, we should be getting out of Tesla here. Hopefully, let's see how that shakes out. Might have to adjust this. Yeah, this has been not my day, as I said. And the thing is, too, is I'm trying to trade less with P&L because I was really happy with NVIDIA. We were in the money, but I didn't want to like give up just because we had, you know what I mean, like the good trade. I wanted to keep going because there were things I liked and I wanted to get involved. The Tesla, I will admit, the timing here was just not great. If we get back into that 176.20, I will be shorting this because now we're becoming a little bit rangier. And that's something I might want to get involved with. Also, NVIDIA, I'm watching out here for this 896.80 area. If we break above that, I will be getting out, but I do have an order to reload here if we get to the 896. So, or just shy of 896. I was learning from what Sean said. So just shy of 896, there is a reload. The spread is making it a little bit harder to eclipse that, but if we do, we're getting involved. Also, the IWM short, shout out again to Mahmood for putting this one out to me. Please just punch with how this is going so far. I did add to this position because I wanted to build it a little bit. If we break above this 75 level, bye-bye. IWM, but let's see how we do. I'm pretty happy with how this one's going so far. Just trying to practice building a position and having levels and getting involved, because I think the thing is too, as Sean says, a scared trader is a deficient trader. Now I'm trying to, again, work on the patience, because to me that is the biggest thing that I have to work on in trading, and I know that. And I trade about 3 hours a day, right? I trade here on the midday, so it's definitely a learning opportunity. It's a bit of a different time as well to trade in the day. And that's why I think as well, I was happy we were able to bring you guys the time of day lessons this week, because as someone where time of day is kind of a key part of how I end up trading, I think it's certainly an interesting lesson. I think when you end up trading can impact your trading as well. Let's look at Meta. I believe Kip earlier in the chat was asking, hey, what's the story with Meta? And I was like, an analyst gave a really bullish note on that one. And then I want to talk about this because this was a bit of an L on this. So let's see. So I got involved here. This was a bit more of a bull flag. I love this range. I was like, oh, Adara, let's get out in the range. So we get in and it falls below. I gave it about $1 and I got out. It's all good. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes that happens. You know, that bamboozlement, as Sharifa said, that bamboozlement is real. And I think that is really a quote of the day. Right now, we're continuing to dance below this IWM here. I also am going to be having my goggles. I just typed IWM. I'm going to be having my goggles in Google as well, because I want to see what's. I love that you called it goggles. I think this is like a new term for the Google. Yeah, this is interesting. This is an interesting chart, but I see what you mean. Like, there's massive resistance here at this 154.20, or maybe not massive, but there's some resistance here at this 154.52 for sure. So. We'll have to see. I guess I know you'll have your goggles on Google, so I know you'll
definitely
let us know how that all shakes out. Yeah, Mahmoud, I do get that IWM has been super choppy. I do agree, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I do have my eyes on the Google here, but alongside that, I am watching some of these other kind of top constituents as well. Alongside these futures, we talk about Apple potentially turning. Softy is turning a little bit more distinctly now, so let's see what Softy does. Where's VWAP on Softy? VWAP's quite low there, 426.51 on Softy. We are trading at 427.40s. as of right now, and it kind of it is cracking that on the 15-minute. It is cracking a little bit of that EMA as well. So maybe some potential players offside off of that little bit of action there, maybe taking out some stops, but. Again, it could still come back in and hold. I have no idea, but let's see how far this market kind of pulls back. 5-3 happening here on the ES. So let's see how that one kind of pans out there. I do want to get a little bit more of the goggle here if it'll have me. So let's see how this pull kind of comes in. If it comes in, Apple pulling back into its VWAP as well, only about 20 pennies away from there as of right now. So yeah, going into that end of day, kind of going into 2 o'clock ish. Let's see if some of that pressure or that volume starts to pick up again. Maybe get that volatility again in the later half of the day as we exit that midday session. So there goes the SPY through the VWAP, and we're getting a little bit of a sell-off there. And okay, so yeah, things are looking like they're turning right now. Let's see if it actually does come into fruition there. So got a little short on the goggle and the Disney. Let's see if these guys can come back in towards some of their previous day levels there. Disney actually is already below its VWAP, so I'm looking for it to make some fresh lows below this 19. Maybe this time around, we do get to that 19. I was looking for that relatively lower high below that 120, same area where the sellers were pretty dominant going into the end of day yesterday. You come into it, you make lower highs. Now you're trading below VWAP and maybe struggling a little bit with VWAP as well, and you have your confluenced with the market tailwind coming to the downside both on the ES and the NQ, and yeah, that spider is definitely climbing a little bit down that spout quite aggressively.
I was hoping you were gonna go there, and I'm so happy you went there.
I like using that one, the spider and the spout.
Yeah.
What's the Incy Wincy spider? Yes, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is certainly
classic banger.
That's what. But next time Kobe goes to the club, that's the song you request. But yeah, no,
I don't know what clubs that would play that, but that would be hilarious.
EDM remix. You know, there's a DJ somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely, people are on that. Yeah, I'm sure I can look up like an EDM Incy Wincy Spider remix, and there are probably bangers out there. I have no doubts with the kind of stuff that's being put out these days.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you for bringing that one there. Also, on this IWM, thank you again to Mahmoud for pointing this one out. Please just punch with this. We're dropping even lower.
Bang.
I'm going to do about 4 more beat quitters here. I did give myself a little bit. I was really happy I was able to build that position, so we have a little bit more room here to dispense the shares accordingly. We have 3 more beat quitters on the horizon ready to go. We also got a little bit of the NVIDIA out, so really happy with this as well. Honestly, like I said, just trying to, very grateful to just be able to learn and try to adapt the trading strategy every day. Not every trade is going to be a winner. A lot of my trades are not, but it's just about trying to be coming back there every single day and learning and trying to adapt with these 3 hours I have with all of you guys. So always happy to be there. Vin saying old school banger with regards to that Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Yes.
So nice look there. Yeah, I'm looking. Rob, Mike Wayne, scared money don't make money. Yeah, agreed. And that's something I definitely trying to work on that one for sure. Also, Lola, welcome back here. What's good, Trader TV Familia? I hope everyone is cooking. Cheers. Coin and BITO. Let's take a look at coin. And let's see what kind of coin is out there in coin right now, because Coinbase did have that news in Canada. Let's pull up the exact name for that catalyst, or this is really rangy. If it wasn't like a Bitcoin related stock, this would be fun. To the moon there, I like that emoji. This one, obtaining registration as a restricted dealer in Canada, so nice. Canada catalyst here for Coinbase. Also, getting a really nice analyst out here from Oppenheimer, raising the price target to 276. They're seeing some positive, some headwinds there with regards to the spot Bitcoin ETFs being approved. So nice move there for COIN. Nice range play here. Shout out to you, Lolo. Right now, Coinbase not getting too low, though. It's kind of within a range. IWM, we're going to take some more out here, I think, at IWM as we end up being a little bit stuck here around 40, so we're going to take out another piece here, and then we have 2 more beak wetters. Let's see what we do here. If we break below 30s, I would be pretty happy with that. NVIDIA, pretty choppy as well. I do want to get filled again. I'm going to change because I think I might have had this reload area a little bit too high. Let's try for 61s and see if we can add to this position as we chop and turn and just take it out as we break below into this range. How are you doing? I can't believe we only have 14 more minutes, Obi.
Only got 14 minutes, so about a decent chunk of a 15-minute candle left here to print on some of these charts here. So I guess Disney coming in, and so is Goggle, so is the market. Are you guys short? Are you guys long? That 185, oh boy, we are taking about a full point of a pullback from those highs on the Amazon as well. So that's quite a decent look. Spider potentially making fresh lows on the day as of right now, almost there. So not really in the not counting the pre-market session. We're talking about intraday open session right here. 522. What is the low? 522.36 right there. We're about 20 pennies away from that. It is raging to the downside, and look at that volume coming in off of that break as well. So pretty much a lot of the intraday longs that didn't really interact here probably going to be underwater if we get past this 522. Let's see what we get at that 522. Do these bidders kind of step back up? Bang! Right through.
Ooh.
So slamming right through. There goes my first cover on the goggle right there at that 154.20s. Let's see how much further we can go. Disney, are you coming with us? Are you coming along? Are we going to Disney World? I have no idea, but that's coming in. Let's see if that 18.5, we're looking for that 18.5 potentially to come in. You can see that there may be some lick there with that orbit that we had for over an hour. That's what we kind of talk about. Getting a little lucky with that dump here. Let's see. Apple, full-on reversion back into VWAP. Amazon, where is your VWAP, buddy? It is right there, 184.35, and we're trading 37. So that was a nice little slam back into VWAP. Alphabet, the only one that really hasn't really gone all the way back to its VWAP. Its VWAP being 153.30s. You can see that red line right there. So we've got quite a ways to go if this is going to follow in step. But that relative strength does have me watching it closely. Let's see what we do in and around some of these levels. If this shelf breaks, maybe we are poised to kind of come in. Where's the next stop? This consolidation potentially underneath that 154. Let's see if we can even get there. But that Disney still holding up onto this 119.30. So even after that market kind of did that bit of a quadunk. So I do want to get out a little piece there, the one that we did kind of add into here, and I will stay a little bit nimble on that one because that flush came in real hot, and Disney kind of didn't really do much. It kind of just held this previous low. Maybe I'm acting too early there on that. Maybe it needs some more time, but I'm going to stay as nimble as possible. Softy, oh boy, is that coming in real nice there. Softy breaking down its VWAP. Amazon pushing its VWAP. SPY, oof. When that came in, this little flush, that definitely took out some stops. That aggressiveness that happened, just a little wick to the downside, and now getting picked right back up. So let's see if this 522 half area holds on the spider. Let's take a quick look left as well to see if there's anything interesting going on here at this level. Interesting. A little bit of consolidation earlier on in the week. When is this? This is a Monday. So Monday's consolidation, low day consolidation, is what we are falling onto as of right now, and we kind of did that in the morning. So let's see if those bids kind of show up there. But when and if this 521 breaks, I'm going to ask, are we going to hold that level, or are these sellers going to come right back in? I have no idea, but I'm going to stay observant to what that price action may bring at those levels there. So, okay, so got that initial cover there on the goggle, but goggle's not really going too far as I can see. Maybe those goggles are a little fogged up. I can't really see too far with that one, but let's see if it can come in to that VWAP there potentially. Disney might need some more time, or we could be totally wrong. I'm just trying to churn it out, create some flow there, trying to get better at that as well. I think something I struggle with sometimes is like getting some size in and churning out some some cash flow while I'm waiting for the move to actually happen. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do and get better at here on the Disney. We managed to get what I think is the right side of the move here, the back side, when it does happen, and we get that confluence with the market as well. Let's see if some of these tickers kind of bounce off of their VWAP. I see that Amazon's already attempting to bounce right now, but it is the initial test, so maybe it needs some more time to really come to fruition there. I see in the chat Mr. Wick saying, hopefully, are you John Wick? All right, saying that Meta with the dump. So let's take a quick look at Meta as well. Yeah, Neil saying don't let that man have a pencil for sure. You got to watch out for Baba Yaga with the pencil there on that, Mr. Wick. So Meta, yeah, coming into the downside, but VWAP not quite there just yet. So let's see what that'll bring, if it'll even have VWAP there. But a nice little hold of that. What is this? 525. Ooh, interesting. So 525 hold off of a 530. That little shelf at the highs. That's interesting as well. So decent mover there on Meta. But oh boy, was that SPY short. That seems like that was one of the better places to kind of take that market kind of reversion there as we pull into that 18.5, and we're catching a little bit of a bid off that 18.5 now. Yeah,
this market was, I will admit, that little drop was nice.
Ooh, that was beautiful.
I mean, you're in two shorts, and then Intel does what it wants to do. So
yeah, I realize Intel's disconnected, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let that kind of work, do its own thing. I wanted more in that trade, but right now it's just going sideways. It's not doing too much, so I'm just holding whatever breadcrumbs I have left on Intel.
Yeah, it's like you can the whole market goes down, you can relax because Intel is still popping higher.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice looking Intel. Congrats to you on that, Intel. I know you've been in that name the last couple of days, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little choppy today. I guess I am still a little red on it based off of how aggressive I was in the morning. Actually, pretty much break even on it now, I think. But anyways, yeah, I was a little too aggressive on Intel. Nowhere near break even. But yeah, it's still a little red on it. But managed to finally catch the long when it did come in. Not with the same kind of size and aggression that I had in the morning session. So that's something I do need to cool off and kind of going back to patience, having that patience, right? And you were talking about having that consistency. That's definitely one of my main focuses as well. Like consistency is one of the top focuses. Like, how do you maintain that consistency? I think patience and planning is definitely a huge part of it, and sticking with your playbook as well. So yeah, I like a lot of different things when it comes to trading, but I got to do a little bit better with the discipline of sticking with my playbook that I'm currently still, again, it's a work in progress. We're building on it a little bit every day, kind of adding plays to it if and when they do show up. But yeah, kind of sticking to that definitely plays a part, I think, significantly in maintaining that consistency over time.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think
it's a work in progress. I'm working on it as well. It's one of the top focuses that I have.
It was what I like to, and into this community in person and also in the chat, is everyone's always willing to admit mistakes. Everyone's trying to grow together, and I think that's what's really important, and why I'm very happy to be here, especially as part of How to Trade. Also, this IWM trade, again, another shout out to the community, because Mahmood put me onto this one, saying that, hey, it looks like we might have a bit of a breakdown here on the IWM. I was building here as we got a little bit higher. I said if we break above that 207.75, I get out. We didn't, so I was pretty happy with that. And then I took, as you can see here, lots of different pieces here out. I was pretty happy just kind of unloading this one as we get more to the downside. I'm staying out of it. I'm going to probably tie my hands behind my back here for the last 6 minutes of the midday. So that's what you say, sit on your hands and wait and not do anything, because there's no reason for me to leave.
That's a really hard thing to do. It's a skill within itself.
At it, but yeah.
No. I'm saying just as like traders in general, like I have trouble doing that sometimes. Clearly on Intel, I had trouble doing that in the morning. I did not sit on my hands, and that's why I'm red on it right now, even though I had a couple better trades later on in the day on that little pop. But you can see that Intel is just kind of chopping sideways, still well within that opening range. But we are building on top of VWAP right now, so it is doing its own thing. Not really. We talked about the beta yesterday, and that that beta is definitely disconnected coming in on the day today, and yesterday it was quite disconnected as well. And something else that may be disconnected from the market is that AM Dizzle fresh lows, 176s. So yeah, I tried that cheeky long, unnecessary there with that chase, and I'm like, all right, well, do I want to continue kind of forcing that idea? This is selling off quite strongly on the day, and I don't know if there was necessarily a catalyst specific to this one, but yeah, that AMD sell-off off that 183 all the way down to 176, almost a full-on 10-point flush. It's about, you know, that's absolutely wild there. So AMD to the downside is distinctly different. I'm still waiting for a potential reversion to happen on that one, but no real sign of that happening. You had a little bit of a shimmy dance right here, wick, kind of a consolidation, 7/7/2. Pop, can't really get through, slams right back down. Sellers showing you who is in charge with that price action there, and we've only made lower lows and lower highs after that kind of action there. So AMD, beautiful short for those who had it on the day. Hopefully you're not fighting the long, as clearly the sellers are showing you over and over again who is in charge on that day, on the day.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly interesting how certain names are moving differently. Let's talk as well about Tesla still.
Stonks will stonk.
Pardon?
Stonks will stonk.
Stonks will stonk. Yeah, indeed they will. They don't care about your feelings.
No, absolutely
not at all.
not.
They're like, what are feelings? We are stocks. We're numbers and data and algos. So they do what they want to do. But also, Tesla doing a heck of a reversal here, which I know because I got a little bit lost in the sauce here. It was a bit of a mess, though. We were a little bit stressed, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy. We stuck to the plan, which was just if we. I initially was going to wait for this bounce off that 175.50, but the more intense this got, the more I was like, Adara, if we can't stay within this range we have established after, just get out. So I got out. A little bit of an L here, but honestly, the issue was I was chasing waterfalls. I wanted that move up to 177. I was perhaps a skosh bitter that I fat fingered out a little bit too early in this attempt to make the range break, and I made a poor decision. So I just want to acknowledge that, but I'm happy I was able to manage it a little bit and not just panic punch out. We did wait for the punch out, and we didn't lose as much as we could have. So there we go. Also, NVIDIA. I want to talk about this. Ooh, this went even farther down. But yeah, so this NVIDIA, we had that big drop down in the market, and I didn't have an order ready, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. But the reason I didn't have an order ready was because I was waiting to add to this position a little bit, right? So I was trying to add initially just shy of 896. When I realized we wouldn't get that, I said, let's do just shy of 895.50s. We didn't get that either. NVIDIA was ready to go down. So I was like, you know what, NVIDIA, you want to give me some profits? Thank you, man. Let's shake on it. We took $1 on this one. So please just punch.
Beautiful.
Really happy with this name. This is a really nice short, making new lows of days. Shout out to Sean and anybody in this NVIDIA trade. I was just doing my playing around in here, but Sean had a light bulb idea there. So nice look on that. Right now, this IWM is dropping, so we're going to take out another piece.
Beautiful.
Pleased as punch.
No reason to buy.
These markets are giving so many opportunities today, and this has been such a fun time. I can't believe we have only 1 minute left. I mean, one minute left. Do you have your goggles and anything else? Head into the last minute.
So I got a little aggressive with the goggle and then instantly kind of covered a decent chunk there into that 154. So we did get that dump through that 18.5. So beautifully coming in, I got more short on this shelf break, and then the shelf break kind of just holds that 154. I'm like, all right, well, I'll piece some off of here. I'll keep these kind of chase shares that I have. We have a first in, first out kind of system here. So I can't really. I wish I had a little bit more control as to which inventory I'm buying and selling, but first in, first out. Got to play with the rules. We've got to play with the hand that you're given there. But I'm willing to keep some of these, and I'm willing to take out some of those on the goggle as we push a little bit further to the lows there. Maybe got to get more on this Disney as we pieced off of a decent chunk there at this 19.3 test. I'm looking for those 19s to come in. But that ES, oh boy, what is this pattern called? Double top, M shape, cat ears, whatever you want to call it. That's a little bearish. Back to the downside, 154 coming in on the goggle. Fresh lows. Oh boy, are those sellers really showing their hands and showing us who is in charge on the day.
Oh boy, indeed.
Love this market.
I love it too. Yeah, can't believe it's 2 o'clock. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Right now though, Brendan's at the big desk.
See ya.
Hey guys, welcome in. 2 o'clock on what's turning into a bit of a down move here.